Long Fei stared blankly. Just as she got excited, she was instantly disappointed. Long Fei stared blankly. Just as she got excited, she was instantly disappointed. It's actually just a clone? Long Fei never thought that this Meng Shunji, who looked so awesome, could even pretend to have a new height. It was incomparably domineering. However, it was just a clone. Very good. One clone is the boss, so the rest shouldn't be too bad. It just so happens to be the case. Let me accumulate some experience. Long Fei thought in his heart. Seeing that his experience had almost dropped to 0, Long Fei was already complaining in his heart. He was already at the 8th stage of the ancient powers, and his experience was already complete. As long as he returned to the ancient world, he would immediately level up. However, this time it was directly zeroed. However, upon thinking about the berserk nature of this skill, Long Fei felt at ease. However, next time, if he didn't have enough experience, he might drop a level. No, we definitely can't lower our levels. Damn, this is forcing me to start a massacre. Since I've been tricked by Hong Yi, I might as well take it back from the people from the Sun God world. Long Fei thought in his heart. At the same time, the system rang out once again. Ding! Congratulations, player Blood River Sin Power. Would you like to fuse it? Fuse. Without the slightest hesitation. Although the power of the Blood River was not great, but since the system could release it, it must be useful to him. At the same time as Long Fei was refining the power of the Blood River, within the resplendent light, a figure was staring at them. It was indeed Hong Yi. Alright, this move is awesome. Is this his trump card? Although it is not comparable to the vacuum hand seal, it is a type of power. When he transcends the other side of the river, he will definitely be more powerful than my vacuum hand seal. However, looking at this brat, he is not a kind person. He can't be hating me already, right? Not good. I have to use my methods and tie this kid to a battleship as soon as possible. Otherwise, my legacy will suffer. Hong, he said in a low voice, his expression suddenly changing. The central court, the lord of the sacred court, Hong Chi-Tian, had a deep expression on his face. In his hesitation, he looked towards the civil and military officials. How's Princess's recovery going? Hong Chi-Tian asked. He was the master of the central sacred court and was extremely concerned about the calamity that had befallen the Yang God realm. Moreover, he was extremely reluctant to part with his power. Therefore, he spent a lot of effort to resolve the issue of the Yang God realm's safety. As for his woman, she was also the princess of the sacred court. Hong Chuya had let him see hope, a daughter of destiny. The karmic luck of the entire holy court and even the entire Yang God realm enveloped him, just like how Hong Yi was all those years ago, accepting the karmic luck of heaven and earth. Therefore, he wanted Hong Chuya to become a Yang God at all costs, even beyond that. However, never would he have thought that all of their plans would be thrown into chaos by Long Fei, who had suddenly risen up. Just as Hong Yi was about to reach the other side, half of his luck was taken by Long Fei. This led to Hong Ye's failure. God Emperor, the princess already came out of seclusion half a month ago. She has already traveled the world and wants to kill Long Fei. A bystander said in a low voice. Nonsense. Right now, it's a critical moment. Gathering our karmic luck is the key. How can we act in such a reckless manner? Hong Chi-Tian frowned furiously. In an instant, not one of the civil and military officials dared to speak a word. None of them dared to look Hong Chi-Tian in the eye. The monarch's might was vast and mighty, terrifying to the extreme. This emperor does not care what method you use to bring the princess back within 3 days. Furthermore, Long Fei must definitely be captured and brought back. Also, didn't you already explain to the other prisoners? Hong Chi-Tian asked. The people he was talking about were none other than Black Knifes. Lord God Emperor, we have confirmed that they are Long Fei's accomplices. Moreover, the recent events between the heaven and earth have been confirmed. It's Long Fei. He single-handedly killed 8 of the sun gods of the Resurrection Mountain. The people on the left and right said, their voices extremely low, this kind of thing was enough to cause a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering change. Furthermore, Hong Chi-tian was currently still in a state of rage, and his hatred for Long Fei had already reached the bone. At this time, the more trouble there was regarding Long Fei, the more it would ignite the anger in Hong Chi-tian's heart. Sure enough, at the moment the sounds left and right sounded out, Hong Chi-tian's eyes turned dark. He naturally knew that the sun god had fallen. However, never would he have thought that it would actually come from Long Fei. Crack, crack, crack. Hong Chi-tian immediately clenched his fists as killing intent filled his eyes. Damn it, I must have stolen the chi of heaven and earth, using the mountains and rivers to give me this power. No, I have to come back. You have given me the order that if the world's sun gods come, then I, the emperor, will seal the world, divide up the destiny of heaven and earth, and welcome the great calamity together. Hong Chi-tian's eyes became vicious as he said with a deep voice. At this time, Long Fei had already returned to the Peacock Mountain. However, a few days later, the entire Peacock Mountain was filled with a tyrannical aura. Long Fei's eyes lit up. Looks like they've succeeded. Long Fei's heart stirred as he thought of this result. Infinite smug. They were all brothers who had followed him here all the way back. Now that they had already become young gods and were even able to walk their own paths, returning to the ancient world would also be a great help to him in overturning the Emperor Xian. Then, the Holy Court is next. Long Fei gazed into the distance and prepared to leave. It was at this time that Long Fei suddenly turned around. Get out here! A loud shout rang out. As Long Fei's voice fell, a figure directly descended from the distant skies. Long Fei also shifted his gaze over. But in that moment, Long Fei's gaze was no longer willing to move. It was too beautiful. It could no longer be described with words. Her beauty was extraordinary and enchanting. It was a type of enticement different from the beauty of Long Fei's wives. With such a delicate and pitiful expression, the killing intent on Long Fei's body disappeared. Hey girl, why are you hiding the void when you have nothing better to do? Even if you admire me, you don't have to be so reserved. Just come out and tell me. I'm very fraternal. My love can help the whole world. I once had a great ambition. I wanted to let all the beauties in the world know the taste of love. Long Fei said, and revealed a big smile on his face. He thought that he was extremely deep, but if Long Fei were to see it from his brother's point of view, he would definitely see it with a single glance. Long Fei's heart was already pounding. After he finished speaking, Long Fei walked step by step towards the woman in front of him. Until he got close, the expression in Long Fei's eyes changed with a loud bang, and the woman in front of him attacked without any warning. The corner of his mouth actually had two sharp teeth growing out, which he directly bit towards Long Fei. Even if my temperament is unstoppable, my handsomeness will shock the world. Girl, you don't need to bite me the first time we meet, right? With that, Long Fei's eyes turned cold. He extended his hand and grabbed the woman. To care for the fairer sex, that still depended on the circumstances. To care for the fairer sex, that still depended on the circumstances. If she gave birth to killing intent towards Long Fei, then even if she was a nine heavens divine woman, a woman without equal in the world, Long Fei would absolutely not show her any mercy. Speak. Why are you staring at me? Long Fei said coldly. There was still a smile on his face. However, killing intent was already brewing within his smile. If not, a satisfactory answer. Long Fei did not mind destroying the flower ruthlessly. But to Long Fei's surprise, the woman in front of him did not say a word. Immediately, killing intent surfaced in Long Fei's heart. He was about to attack. However, at this moment, the woman in front of him opened her eyes. Tear eyes. Just like a married woman who was abandoned, she stared at Long Fei with grievance. Instantly, Long Fei's heart froze. His heart was moved, as if he was that heartless person. Just kill as long as you do it. From now on, we will be enemies, not friends, the next time we meet, the woman in front of him suddenly said. With just that one sentence, it had stunned Long Fei even more. He was certain that he was completely unfamiliar with the person in front of him. However, there seemed to be a mysterious connection between these strangers. Even a single action of hers could move Long Fei's heart. "No, girl, who the hell are you? We don't seem to know each other," Long Fei said helplessly. "Long Fei, you bastard. If it wasn't for you, how could I have become like this? The destiny of heaven and earth has been taken away from me. It has been taken away from me. My palace's ancestral master Yi's blood vein has also lost its light. It's all your fault." As she spoke, the woman started sobbing. And right when Long Fei's brain instantly exploded, a person instantly appeared within his mind. Princess of the Holy Sea? Damn awesome. The clone was actually so capable. Such a beautiful woman actually turned a blind eye to him. Long Fei was amazed. He had never imagined that his clone would be so popular in the world of the sun god. Especially when he saw the pitiful look of the woman before his eyes. Long Fei had the urge to beat up his own clone. "Wait, then how did you know I was here?" Long Fei asked. Logically speaking, grievances should always have a leader. No matter how powerful his clone was, he should be able to trace it with the power of the central sacred court. He couldn't find her here no matter what. "Hey, you're so amazing. Stealing my power, you dare to act presumptuously here. Killing 8 young gods in one go, what a powerful technique. Right now, in the entire young god realm, who doesn't know of a great name Long Fei?" Hong Yi said. Long Fei was startled and immediately laughed bitterly. It seemed that his performance had been too eye-catching. However, Long Fei did not mind at all. He wanted to keep a low profile, but strength wouldn't allow it. If he did not meet so many people and jump out to seek death, Long Fei would not have started a massacre. It could only be said that everything was destined. Since someone had come to give him experience, Long Fei naturally accepted all of it. "That girl, I'll tell you. I'm already related to your ancestor, Old Tai. A few days ago, I was just a lonely boat admiring the moon. We fought together." Long Fei said. The identity of the person in front of him was clear. It was the Princess of the Holy Sea. So this was naturally Hong Yi's inheritance. Thinking about Hong Yi's face, Long Fei was so angry that his teeth itched. "Ha ha ha. Hey, you couldn't have thought of this, right? Your father's clone actually tried to seduce your descendant. Awesome. The next time we meet, your father will bring your descendants to greet you and see what kind of expression you have. Then it's happily decided. I'll take this woman." Long Fei's eyes flashed with a smile, instantly feeling extremely comfortable. He was tricked by Hong Yi previously, so he had to get it back no matter what. Thinking about it, Long Fei smiled. But in the blink of an eye, he saw Hong Qiuye's contemptuous expression, as if he was looking at a clown. Long Fei was stunned and said, "What? You don't believe me?" Hong Qiuye sneered, but did not speak, completely ignoring Long Fei. Long Fei was bored, so he did not linger on this question. After all, it was hard to believe the truth of this matter. After all, flying away was an existence on the other side of the river. Thinking about it, Long Fei changed the topic. "That girl, to be honest. I'm the real Long Fei. The one who cheated you was just a clone of mine. But don't worry, I'm a man of my word. In the future, I will be responsible for you." Long Fei's face turned serious. "Scram, who asked you to take responsibility? I wish I could take your life." Hong Qiuye instantly took a step back and said coldly, "You don't want me to be responsible? Then why are you still chasing after me?" Long Fei said helplessly, "I want my things back." Hong Yi said word by word. When he spoke, he was still staring straight at Long Fei, as if he wanted to swallow Long Fei whole. Just like before, he was grinding his teeth and sucking the blood from his mouth. Suddenly, a sense of caution appeared in Long Fei's heart. Just as he was about to explain, his face suddenly changed. The void trembled as one figure after another descended from the skies. With 3 pairs of eyes, he saw countless worldly immortals and 9 calamity powerhouse. It was incomparably powerful. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the entire space. "General, the heavens have been destroyed. Welcome to the palace." The leader of the group directly said. His face was ashen, and his aura was tyrannical. Long Fei's eyes moved as he looked towards Hong Qiuye, only to see that Hong Qiuye's eyes were trembling and his pupils were contracted, revealing a sense of fear. It even approached Long Fei as if looking for support. Hmm, there's a chance. Long Fei's face lit up. At the same time, he felt suspicious. Why would Hong Qiuye, as a princess of the Holy Court, feel fear towards the people of the Holy Court? Long Fei couldn't understand. However, Hong Yi did not explain. She lightly pulled Long Fei's arm, and with a pleading look in her eyes, she said, "Help me." It was just two simple words. However, Long Fei's heart instantly twitched. An inexplicable sense of familiarity once again surfaced in his heart. Senior sister, Ming Clan? This situation merged directly with the figure in his mind. Instantly, Long Fei felt a strong desire to protect. Moreover, this was an opportunity. As long as I am here, no one can do anything to you. Even if you want to die, it's useless if you don't want to go back. Long Fei said, as his domineering aura leaked out. With a flip of his hand, he pulled Hong Qiuye into his arms and stared at the void. Who's that? The Empyrean Terminus, right? Autumn Leaf doesn't want to go back right now. You can scram now, Long Fei said indifferently. Because of Hong Qiuye, he did not have any good feelings towards these people. In fact, with just a single word from Hong Qiuye, Long Fei would make a move. Even if he had to kill them, he would do it without hesitation. How dare you? Who do you think you are to covet our princess? If you know what's good for you, I advise you to leave quickly. Otherwise, if the heavens do not destroy you, I will not destroy you. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curved into a cold smile. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curved into a cold smile. If the heavens do not destroy you, I will. What an arrogant tone. I feel that I'm pretty arrogant, but I didn't expect to meet you today. Inexplicably, Long Fei thought of a joke from his previous life. I came out to find my grandson, but I couldn't find his grandson, so I found someone to pretend to be my grandson. That's right, the person in front of him had completely put on a new front. The sun god stage was indeed very strong. Unfortunately, they were facing the wrong person. You're right. Who dares to disobey the orders of my holy court? Only with our ability can we be arrogant. On the other hand, if you don't want to die, then hurry up and scram. The voice of heaven decimating became colder and colder, carrying a hint of impatience. It was as if talking to Long Fei for a bit more would be a waste of time. At this moment, Hong Qiuye suddenly chuckled. Long Fei turned his head, but Hong Autumn Leaf had become cold again. Helpless, Long Fei could only retract his state of mind, but his hands were not honest. Taking advantage of Hong Yi holding his arm, he reached out his hand and stroked his butt. Weren't you acting haughtily? Wasn't he acting haughtily? Then I will openly eat tofu in front of everyone's eyes. Instantly, killing intent exploded from Hong Qiuye's eyes. Long Fei stared straight at Hong Qiuye. You have to understand that what you need right now is my help. Keep your aloof attitude. Otherwise, I will do anything. Long Fei intentionally made a vicious expression and threatened. In an instant, Hong Qiuye bit his lips, once again displaying a wronged expression. With a slight frown, her stubbornness caused one's heart to ache even more. In this instant, Long Fei actually felt a great sense of evil, and his palm unconsciously retracted back. And then he acted like he was a different person. All right, you win. Also, I'm not a heartless person, so don't show such an expression. I'm very generous. Long Fei said, after which he raised his head. I'm done, what doom? If you're finished, then hurry down to your death. Long Fei was furious. He vented his anger on Heaven Destroyer. In the sky, the face of Heaven Destroyer turned cold as he looked at Hong Qiuye. Princess, I have to say, you're really in a desperate situation. A trash that isn't even a worldly immortal can actually make you fall for him? Think about it. The old you who was so high up in the sky and had your heart messed up by Long Fei became like this, giving up on yourself. Right now, even a piece of trash can be entrusted to you. As Heaven Destroyer spoke, his words were filled with ridicule and contempt, as well as his sarcasm towards Hong Qiuye. It seemed like he didn't have much respect for the princess, Hong Qiuye. And at this moment, Long Fei's expression became even more serious. Things are getting serious. The princess of the Holy Court's appearance is even worse than I thought. Long Fei thought in his heart. Originally, when Heaven Destroyer and the others came. He thought that it was because Hong Chuya's cultivation had decreased that the other party's attitude was so frivolous and did not have any respect for him. But now, it seemed that it wasn't so. This was more than disrespect. It was simply taunting, not putting her in his eyes at all. There was even killing intent in his words. In a split second, Long Fei's eyes focused, and his pupils turned as bright as the stars and started to flicker nonstop. No matter what, this matter is closely related to me. It seems that the water in the holy court isn't that clear either. Long Fei thought and made a decision. And then he looked towards the heavens. It became more interesting. 3 experts of the sun god stage, hundreds of peak worldly immortal stage experts, and 9 tribulation experts. To Long Fei, this was an undisguised temptation. And at this time, Hong Chuya spoke. If you won't bring me back, that's fine. Then kill him, or you guys will be killed by him. He spoke arrogantly, coldly, and cleanly. This time, even Long Fei looked towards Hong Chuyi. This was an attack from his opponent, but it didn't matter. Regardless whether they made a move or not, Long Fei would not let them go. Ah, good. Princess, it seems that you are truly a degenerate. Have you given up? This is good too. Now leave with me. As for this trash, any one of you will be able to kill him. As he spoke, he waved his hand. Immediately, a worldly immortal walked out from behind him. A spear shot through the air straight towards Long Fei. As for the celestial destroyer, as soon as this person attacked, he began to walk towards Hong Chuyi step by step. As far as he was concerned, killing Long Fei was as easy as crushing an ant. He never took it to heart. However, at that moment, a miserable shriek could be heard. Heaven Destroyer's footsteps came to a halt. Long Fei was still standing in his original position. In his hands, the worldly immortal stage expert was being held by Long Fei by the neck and was frantically struggling. Truly garbage. You can't even take away a single piece of trash. What use will I have you here? The face of the celestial destroyer turned cold. Then he waved his hand. Suddenly, another expert of the 9th level came out with a sinister look in his eyes. With a swipe of his hands, a shocking strength appeared in his hands and a palm landed. Sky-splitting palm, the man shouted. It instantly descended from the skies. But just as his palm was about to land on Long Fei's body, Long Fei made her move. Even though his physical body had entered the Great Tao's hibernation mode. But the state that has been strengthened and changed will not change. Right now, his body still had the power to fight against the 9 Springs Blood River. To him, the attack before his eyes did not cause the slightest bit of damage. Even if he stood still, the other party wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Boom! Long Fei slowly raised his fist. One punch horizontally across the sky. The Great Tao was extremely simple. I don't care how strong you are, I only have one punch. The 9 tribulation experts instantly landed on the ground, rolling their eyes. They could not believe their eyes as they saw their own bodies explode, and all of them died with hatred. Even in death, he didn't understand how he had died. Heaven Destroyer was finally moved and stopped in his tracks. There are some methods. No wonder Hong Chuya would believe them. Unfortunately, I encountered this general. If you don't become a sun god, you'll become an ant in the end. As he spoke, a long blade appeared in a flash of light. Once the long blade appeared, Long Fei's eyes started to flicker. The monstrous, murderous aura. Moreover, this baleful aura was not the power of the heavens, but rather the power of this weapon. Is the sun god very strong? It's not just 1 or 2 people who died at my hands. With a thought, Long Fei's figure disappeared in an instant. What you said earlier wasn't wrong. Only with strength can you be awesome. Then I'll tell you now. Even though your way of putting on an act with all your might is very haughty, but after you're done, you still have to talk nonsense. Die. Long Fei punched out like an invincible war god. Ancient world, divine space. Ancient world, divine space. Xian Nationality Palace. Emperor Xian slowly opened his eyes on the Venerable One. When it opened and closed, it was as if the sun and moon were changing. It was as if the heavens were being split open and the earth was being split apart. The entire imperial palace was shaken. Broken army? Did Long Fei find it? The Emperor Xian asked. Long Fei had already become a thorn in the side of the Emperor Xian. It was not Long Fei who was constantly getting stronger. It was to say, over and over again, that Long Fei had narrowly escaped death. It had already made him sick. Especially now, Emperor Xian was even more cautious. The competition for the God of Boundary was in front. As long as he became a God of Boundary, he would surpass Long Batian and reach a height that had never been seen before, becoming the ancient world, first-generation God of Boundary. At that time, what ancient powerhouse? What an eternal legend. It will all be the past. As the history was about to be rewritten, Long Batian was the only one with the strongest power. Therefore, at such a time, the more worried Emperor Xian was, the more he would not allow any mistakes to occur. However, it was inexplicable. Long Fei hovered in the Emperor Xian's mind, feeling that something would go wrong because of him. Pejun fell silent. He similarly hated Long Fei to death. Great Emperor, there is still no news of Long Fei. I think he should have died, after all. As Pejun spoke, he looked at Emperor Xian. Impossible. Even the Lord of Primal Chaos would not be able to accomplish something that our Xian nationality couldn't. This emperor dares to determine that he is definitely still alive. The competition for the God of Boundary will begin before too long. Before that happens, you must kill Long Fei first. Emperor Xian's eyes were cold as he said solemnly. Pejun looked troubled. He had to find someone to kill first. But facing the Emperor Xian, he didn't dare to say a single word. Right, there's still the process of annihilating the Yang God realm that needs to be pushed further. The fall of the God of Boundary can trigger the war for the God of Boundary. The Emperor Xian said in a deep voice. Yang God realm, Peacock Mountain. Heaven decimating brandished his blade and fell from the sky. A surging killing intent filled the air. It was like a raging storm that wanted to split the entire world into countless pieces. Kid, no matter what tricks you have up your sleeve, in front of this daddy here is the God-slaughtering knife. It's going to be a good shard. Annihilate. Heaven Destroyer was in a frenzy. Killing intent surged in his eyes. But Long Fei remained indifferent. This power was very berserk, but in front of Long Fei's body, it could be completely ignored. Invincible punch. Boom, boom. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Long Fei suddenly threw out a punch. With the blast of his fist, Long Fei's figure moved horizontally within the baleful aura that permeated the sky. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Endless saber light flashed. But Long Fei was fearless. He completely ignored them. He was completely unaffected by the wild attacks of the blade light. The look in Heaven Destroyer's eyes changed, and he could not believe it. He had always been confident in his own strength. Below the sun god, he had nothing to fear. Slash, slash, slash. But now, it was completely useless against Long Fei. No, impossible. You are clearly just a trash of the martial saint realm. How could you block my war god saber? This is impossible. The sound of the heavens annihilating the earth was extremely shocking. At this moment, he finally understood why Hong Yi had displayed such an attitude. He acted as if he had nothing to fear. Who are you? Suddenly, a terrifying possibility burst forth from the depths of heaven's destruction. His eyes suddenly narrowed. Long Fei, who was enveloped in this evil aura, revealed a smile as he looked at heaven decimating. Isn't Lousy wanted by the entire city? You still don't know who I am? Long Fei said coldly, and in that instant, his fist shook, and the killing intent that filled the sky vanished with a loud bang. And at this moment, Long Fei's figure also rushed out. His speed exceeded the limit of space. It was like jumping through the air, just for an instant. Boom! Asterisk the punch directly pierced through the sky destruction chest. Boom! The figure of Celestial Destroyer was sent flying backwards. And then, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Heaven Destroyer. Obtained 40 million experience points. Holy Source S, 40,000 points, striking value, 1 point. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining War God Saber. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining the secret order of the Holy Courtyard. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining the secret command. One punch to kill the enemy. Long Fei's eyes moved, and with a flip of his hand, he held War God's saber in his hand. The moment he shook hands, Long Fei felt a fighting spirit soaring into the sky. So powerful! Long Fei's eyes lit up as he felt the power from War God's saber. He felt that the pearl was covered in dust. It's such a waste for such power to fall into the hands of such an existence. Don't worry, I will make you shine by following me. Long Fei thought. He held the War God's blade and stood horizontally in the air. And at this moment, the void had completely erupted. With the death of Celestial Destroyer, everyone was thrown into disarray. Long Fei, he's Long Fei. Not good, run. Even the general is dead. If we stay, we will all be courting death. Let's go. Instantly, voices sounded and began to flee madly. However, at this time, Han Autumn Leaf's voice also appeared. Long Fei, kill them, with a hint of urgency. Long Fei did not bother about him. Carrying War God's saber, his eyes were filled with killing intent. Coincidentally, I'll use you guys to test the power of the War God blade. Before, it was an invincible punch. Now it's invincible. Long Fei said coldly. They were both invincible, but their meanings were completely different. The first was invincible strength. The second was invincible. It was annihilated, slaughtered, and slaughtered all the enemies in the sky. Shwa shwa shwa. In an instant, saber light filled the sky. Endless fighting spirit and monstrous infernal energy erupted. It swept through the world. Puff, puff, puff. With each stroke of the blade, a head would fall. The frenzied slaughter didn't slow down in the slightest. One by one, the people from the Holy Court became bloodthirsty and emptier under the endless blade light, becoming Long Fei's underlings. Even the remaining 2 young gods were the same. This War God saber, in Long Fei's hands, now unleashed its true power. The blood-stained starry sky was invincible. He pushed his surging pride and arrogance to the limit. Even if it was a sun god, he would still be able to instantly kill him with a single slash. Rumble. Rumble, countless people attacked at the same time, wanting to use their powers to strike and block the blade chi. However, it was all in vain. As long as they were swept by the blade chi, there was no other choice but death. Below, Hong Xiuye's eyes fluctuated slightly as she looked at Long Fei. She was deep in thought. No one knew what she was thinking about. As for Long Fei, he was also currently immersed in the harvest. EXP bar. After the apocalypse, these players didn't drop anything useful. However, Long Fei did not care. What he needed was experience. As for these people, they were the experiential learning stumps. Each of them had more than 100 million experience. It was incomparably savage. Within the time of a few breaths, all the people in the Holy Court had died. Countless experience points exploded forth. One wave of fertilizer. He directly added nearly 70 billion experience in a Long Fei's account. The previous deficit was filled up in an instant. In this way, great. Meng Shenji, the next time I see you, I'll give you a big handprint to show off in front of me. Long Fei thought. His gaze shifted as he looked at something. The secret command of the Saint Lord? Task prop? Task prop? Long Fei's expression changed. As a player, this thought appeared in his mind the moment he saw it. Although he had not read the content, Long Fei knew. At the level of heaven's destruction, if it wasn't for the system, it wouldn't have dropped this item. Without holding back, Long Fei opened it immediately. However, it was not as Long Fei had imagined, a quest. On the contrary, the content within shocked Long Fei. F***, that was awesome. Hung E. To think that you were able to transcend the other side. The legacy you left behind is truly amazing. Even if it's poisonous, you don't eat women. A junior, for the sake of the world, actually wants to use your own daughter as a cauldron. How vicious. Long Fei was shocked. Looking at Hong Xiuye, who was far away, his heart sank. Without batting an eyelid, a flame flashed in Long Fei's hand, about to destroy the order. But now, he discovered that he didn't know what material this order was made of, and his own strength couldn't destroy it all. Long Fei stared blankly, as if he was not willing, and released a wisp of blade chi. However, the result was the same. The materials that were used to hold the secret order didn't change at all. Even the most violent of powers could not destroy it. Damn, what is this thing? Long Fei was even more shocked. At this time, Hong Chuya walked over. Don't waste your energy. This is paperweight. It was the core of the great wheel of liberation that Izu had refined back then. Is the ability to carry the power of the other shore. Unless you have already transcended, there is no way to destroy it. Hong Yi said. Long Fei's eyes lit up. Paper? Suppressing the other side? Ha! Instantly, Long Fei laughed out loud. He had only just obtained a method to refine the evacuation wheel, and had not expected to obtain the core materials directly. As for the rest, they could be replaced with other alternatives. Transcending beyond the other shore, free from the sea of bitterness. As long as he had the power to suppress them, what sort of transcendence was that? Wasn't it easy? Suddenly, Long Fei was extremely excited. Without any warning, he directly picked up the Hong Yi and took a bite towards the cherry-red lips. Hong Autumn Leaf's face instantly turned ice-cold. Killing intent exploded out. Long Fei, you're courting death. Hong Chuya turned around and slapped him. But before he landed, he was stopped by Long Fei. But now that he stopped her, Long Fei's expression became extremely ugly. There was no power. What's going on? Long Fei's eyes darkened as he asked. None of your business. Hong Chuya turned his face away, his voice cold. It's none of my business. You are already my man. Your business is my business. In this world, only I can bully you. Long Fei said in a serious tone. He was so domineering that no one could refuse him. And at this time, in Long Fei's heart, was also incomparably comfortable. This was also the first time he had used the domineering CEO method. He suddenly felt that he was too imposing. Hong Chiu was stunned. He never thought that Long Fei would be so tyrannical. His eyes were misty and aggrieved. However, an extremely strange feeling emerged from the bottom of his heart, as if his heart was being controlled by Long Fei in such a tyrannical manner. However, this thought emerged in Hong Chiu's heart, and so, he was abandoned by Hong Chuya. Impossible! How could I fall for this damn hooligan? Hong Chuya told himself in his heart. But how could this expression be hidden from Long Fei? This expression was just too familiar. It was no different from the Xian who he had met after entering the Immortal Execution Archipelago. Sensing this point, Long Fei immediately asked, Now can you tell me what exactly happened? Long Fei changed his tone and became extremely gentle. This time, Hong Ye's heart instantly warmed, as if the pressure bearing down on him had found an outlet to vent. His application went listless all of a sudden. Isn't it all because of you? If that day when I was receiving the chi of heaven and earth, you didn't suddenly barge in. After seizing nearly half of my destiny, how could I possibly fall to such a state? After my karmic luck was taken away, I suffered a backlash from the eye of fate. Right now, my royal father should be thinking of stealing the eye of destiny from my body and then refining your clone. Once again, he would gather the energy and luck within his body and infuse it into his own body before transcending the other side. Although his words were filled with complaints, they no longer contained the hatred and killing intent from before. Most of them seemed to be angry. Long Fei's heart trembled. Never would he have thought that he was the culprit. Seeing the sorrowful Hong Chiu, Long Fei surprisingly reached out and hugged her. But this time, Hong Chiu actually didn't struggle. Don't worry. With me here, no one will be able to hurt you. Not even your father, Long Fei said firmly. Long Fei had never rejected her charm, especially Hong Chiu, who was exceptionally beautiful. Therefore, Long Fei's desire to protect was not impulsive. It was inevitable. Suddenly, Long Fei felt an itch, as if something was caressing him. Whoosh! With a flip of his hand, Long Fei reached out and grabbed hold of a furry tail. Long Fei suddenly turned around, only to see that behind Hong Chiu-Ye's back, there were actually 9 foxtails, extremely beautiful. Fuck, you're from the Spirit Fox? Long Fei was shocked. Unexpectedly. He hadn't expected this result at all. Previously, when he saw the Spirit Fox King, he felt that it was a bit of a pity and wanted to raise a Spirit Fox. Who would have thought that it would actually come in handy right now? Moreover, she felt some inexplicable feelings for him. Ha ha ha, great. Long Fei laughed. When a 9-tailed fox moved, it was usually either in battle or out of love. Now the situation was clear. Hong Autumn Leaf was moved. As for Hong Chiu-Ye, after being grabbed by Long Fei's tail, his face flushed red, and with a soft moan, he collapsed into Long Fei's embrace. Completely confused. So much so that Long Fei would not even reject any presumptuous ideas he had raised. As for Long Fei, he was also extremely excited. He felt that the blood vein was spitting blood from its nose. If not for the fact that they were in an emergency, Long Fei would definitely not have been able to resist. Mother of Asterisker, after we get rid of the Emperor Xian, I will definitely arrange all the women here so that they can sleep together. Long Fei secretly thought, and then he suppressed his mind. At this time, Hong Chia also felt that he was in a predicament. He quickly withdrew his infatuation and returned to his previous state. Long Fei, where exactly is his current clone? He had already gone through 4 thunder tribulations and obtained the destiny of the Yang God world. I'm afraid he has already passed the 9 tribulations and will soon reach the Sun God's position. My royal father will definitely make his move before he becomes a Sun God. So, right now, he must be very dangerous. And you too. Why don't we just find a place to hide? Once you fuse with your avatar's power and become a Sun God, you'll come out again. By then, even my royal father would be helpless to do anything about it. Hong Yi said. Long Fei shook his head. No need. I just said that not to mention your royal father. Even if your master were to come, you don't have to be afraid. In the central sacred courtyard, the crowd was like a stream. In the central sacred courtyard, the crowd was like a stream. To the Yang God realm, the central holy court had already become a sacred place. There was nothing else but that this legacy was left behind by Hong Yi. Back then, Hong Yi became an expert on the other side and reshuffled the world. The position of the Holy See was naturally in the hands of his own legacy. Thus, Hong Chi Tian gave the order to seal the world. Naturally, the experts of the world would not be missed. There are quite a few experts in the Holy Court. Long Fei and Hong Chiu-Ye were standing in an inconspicuous place. As they looked at the traffic on the long street of the Holy Court's Imperial Road, their eyes flashed with a bright light. To others, this was a top expert, but to Long Fei, it was an undisguised experience. There was no way to resist at all. However, at this moment, Hong Autumn Leaf's eyes were extremely nervous. Long Fei, royal father bestowed great authority to the entire world. I feel that this is a conspiracy. You must be careful. Hong Chiu-Ye reminded. Don't worry. Your royal father's plan might not be complete. Long Fei said, his eyes flashing with light. At this moment, the crowd was in an uproar. A golden light descended from the sky. He stood frozen in the air, radiating the light of the heavens. This golden light filled the entire holy court, leaving not a single corner to avoid. The sacred emperor has decreed that the grand seal is coming, but the cholera is not over yet. The sanctuary is after Long Fei, capturing the princess. Anyone who can capture Long Fei will immediately be bestowed the title Marquis of Heaven and Earth, with the power of 3 portions of karmic luck. A command was issued from within the golden light, after which it extended across the empty space as though the heaven and earth shared the same view. In an instant, the entire street started to boil with activity. Cultivators with strong auras started to use their own strength to inquire about what was going on. Long Fei. Who is Long Fei? That piece of trash who hasn't even passed through the On God. Damn it. He dared to desecrate my princess. Damn it. I'll kill him. Fuck you. The princess is mine. No one is allowed to steal from me. One by one, experts soared into the sky, staring at each other as enmity exploded between them. On the other side, Long Fei sneered. The moment many voices appeared, Long Fei had already sensed that there was a special kind of energy seeping out of the Golden Light Law Order, and that it was directly linked to these people. Following that, Long Fei's gaze turned. His expression turned increasingly dark. This was because all of them had the power of a golden light. This, in other words, everyone wanted to kill him. With just a thought, killing intent exploded in Long Fei's heart. Without batting an eyelid, Long Fei withdrew his killing intent and looked at Hong Qiuyi. Your royal father's good too. He even wants to build a memorial archway after becoming a whore. This one's good. However, what kind of expression would he have when he was waiting for me to bring his grandson back? Long Fei said with a smile. Hong Ye's face turned red, but he didn't say a word. She also completely did not expect that her royal father would actually announce it to the world. Moreover, the moment the command was given, it meant that she was already an abandoned child. Long Fei didn't know how cold the word heaven and earth marquee was, but she knew it very clearly in her heart. Whose is the world? Of course it's royal. If one wanted to divide up the royal family's destiny, one naturally had to become a member of the royal family. For an outsider to become a member of the imperial family, the only condition was marriage. And now, it was her only use. There were many princesses in the imperial court. However, there was only one person who could truly match the two words heaven and earth marquee. At this time, Long Fei also noticed the worry in Hong Qiuyi's eyes. What? Are you afraid that I won't be able to beat them? To be honest, in the eyes of others, they are experts. But in my eyes, none of them could withstand a single blow. Long Fei said without concealing anything. Instantly, streams of killing intent exploded from the restaurant. Everyone looked at Long Fei with ill intent. Kid, are you tired of living? Aren't you afraid of losing your tongue? A mere martial saint dares to boast so shamelessly? Beauty, don't follow this trash. Just follow me. I can guarantee that after I kill Long Fei, Princess Qiuyi will become a big shot and you will be a kid. There will never be a third woman. Immediately, someone jumped out to retaliate towards Long Fei. Long Fei looked up and smiled. Brother, you're quite ambitious. My woman really isn't worthy of you. Long Fei said. Hearing that, the man thought Long Fei had admitted defeat. He began to laugh. Ha ha, have you heard that there are no beauties here? Just trash like him. What are you doing with him? Just follow me. How is this trash qualified to have a beauty like you? Ha! The man laughed wildly. Hong Ye's eyes turned cold. The moment she became infatuated with Long Fei, she had already decided on Long Fei. When he heard that the other party was being frivolous, his face instantly turned frosty, even though her strength was almost gone. However, he would never allow anyone to insult him. But at this time, Long Fei said with a smile, Bro, you really should pay taxes on your IQ. When Lousy said that your ambition is ambitious, it meant that you, a toad, want to eat swan meat. You don't even know what kind of person you are. Do you think you can even touch my woman? With that, Long Fei's gaze congealed. In the blink of an eye, a punch was thrown out. Boom! Asterisk with an invincible boxing aura. He struck out with a formidable punch. He directly smashed that person's head apart. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing passersby. You have received 400,000 experience points, 400,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Shwa shwa shwa. Everyone's gaze instantly fell on Long Fei. No one would have thought that Long Fei would actually kill people so violently. Moreover, it was an instant kill. Instantly, their gazes changed. He stealthily withdrew his thoughts, wanting to leave this restaurant. But at this moment, Long Fei's voice sounded once again. Everyone, are you in such a hurry to leave? Aren't you all curious about who I am? Long Fei said. Hong Ye's face changed. He didn't understand what was going on. Are you crazy? Hong Ye hurriedly stopped him. Long Fei was powerful. However, he was in holy court right now. If things went wrong, his father would personally take action. At that time, Long Fei would not be a match for her. He, my wife, just watch. A madman does not become a Buddha. If I'm not crazy, then it's not me. Don't worry, there might be people who can take my life. However, there isn't any in the sacred court. Long Fei said firmly. Rumble, rumble, rumble. At the same time, space exploded. A voice came over. What arrogant words. Kid, you killed someone in the holy court. No matter who you are, you're dead. Today, since you've chosen to use your body to test the method, then this army will put you on the right track. The person who had come was none other than one of the Holy Hall's guards. Swish! In the blink of an eye, a long spear pierced through the air. A sharp killing intent exploded out. The shadows of the spear fluctuated, filled with endless killing intent. But just as it was about to land on Long Fei's body, an astonishing fist intent appeared. Clang! Kacha, kacha! Long Fei punched the spear of the guard who just attacked. Instantly, the long spear exploded. No, that's impossible. You are only a trash of the martial saint realm. How could you have such strong power? The Holy Hall's guards were all shocked. They couldn't believe it, but the way they looked at Long Fei became even more murderous. Then, he waved towards the empty space. Swish, swish. Countless guards descended. Swish. Huh. Countless spears were pointed at Long Fei, waiting for their leader to give the order. Did you see that, kid? So what if your body is strong? The result will still not change. You will definitely die. The leader of the guards coldly said. The leader of the guards coldly said. These 4 short words were filled with killing intent. At this moment, all the guards attacked in unison. Every single one of them was the same as the one who had attacked before. The same shot. The same aura of annihilation. However, the strength of their combined attacks multiplied by several times. It was definitely not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. In the blink of an eye, everyone within and without the restaurant calmed down. They're dead for sure. The Holy Guards are a group of powerhouse created by the sage emperor himself. Not only are they extremely strong in individual combat, their combined attack power is comparable to a 9 tribulations expert. You deserve it. You don't have the strength, and yet you possess such a beautiful woman. You are courting death. The crowd clamored, all of them looking down on Long Fei. A man's wealth is his own fault. He didn't have absolute strength, and yet he brought such a beautiful woman to flaunt his skills. He was simply asking for trouble. Immediately, each one of them seemed to understand the meaning behind it. It was as if after the Holy Hall Guard made his move, the result was already decided. There was no suspense at all. But at this moment, a loud boom suddenly exploded out. Violent energy exploded in the restaurant. Unrivaled power. The fist intent wreaked havoc, directly piercing through the horizon. The entire restaurant was annihilated by this force and turned into dust. At the very center of the battle, there was a tempest. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The storm rumbled, and in the blink of an eye, it rapidly spread to the surrounding area. All of the Holy Palace guards were swept up within the storm. Screams were heard. No, help! Countless noises finally merged into one, and other than a bunch of miserable screams, there was no other sound. However, the sound didn't last for very long. After a few breaths of time, the entire world returned to its previous tranquility as the storm continued. But in the arena, other than Long Fei and Hong Xiuyi, there was no one else. Holy Hall Guard. Extinction. Long Fei looked at the person in the distance with an indifferent expression. Hong Autumn Leaf wanted to struggle. Long Fei, enough. Hong Xiuyi said with a red face. Although he already recognized Long Fei in his heart, he was still a bit embarrassed in front of this public. How can that be enough? Long Fei winked at him and laughed. However, he sighed in his heart. Although the Wi-Fi picked up as a princess of the Holy See, she's still too naive. It's the Golden Light Order again, and the Holy Guards again. Your royal father knew that we were in the Holy Court since a long time ago. Long Fei thought, as he used more strength to hold Hong Xiuye's hand. Following that, he turned his gaze to the distance. He could feel that at the moment he killed the Holy Hall's guards, an extremely powerful aura appeared in the air. Each Tao was the sun god realm. Moreover, it was a bit stronger than the one he had just killed. At the same time, the people in the distance started to retreat. The scene in front of them directly shattered their entire view of the world. Crazy, crazy. Killing people in the Holy Court was not bad, but he actually dared to kill the guards of the Holy Court. He's dead for sure, right? Unless Matriarch E arrives. Otherwise, even the ancient inheritance would not be able to save him. Let's go, this is a madman. Countless people were cursing and swearing, not wanting to stay here for even a second longer. The current Long Fei was a dangerous character in their eyes. It was like a ticking time bomb that might explode at any moment. But even if they wanted to leave, Long Fei forbade them. When Long Fei saw that the golden light was descending and wanted to kill him, Long Fei had already made a decision. The reason he came to the Holy Court was to get people, to have his brother. And for that, his woman wanted justice. Since he's the Lord of the Sacred Court, he's going to make a killing plan. In that case, he might as well jump out and kill to his heart's content. Otherwise, why would he take the initiative to provoke them? Therefore, when Long Fei saw that everyone had the intention to retreat, he immediately leaped into the air and carried Hong Xiuyi into the air. He stood horizontally in the air, facing the crowd. What? Leaving just like that? Didn't you want to kill me? Aren't you interested in my woman? Leaving just like that? Wasn't that a pity? I'm a piece of trash. Long Fei squinted his eyes and said indifferently, No, no, no. Great sir, you are a genius, a godly talent. We are the trash. Right. We're the trash. We toads want to eat swan meat. Let us go, we are nothing more than trash. How can we be worthy of your help? Instantly, these people immediately admitted their wrongs. All of them bowed and abandoned their dignity. But Long Fei's expression was still cold. It was as though he didn't care at all about the attitude of these people. In fact, this was what Long Fei had decided in his heart. These were all experience points. How could Long Fei give up on such a gift? After thinking about it, Long Fei turned around again and pointed to the sky. But don't tell me that you're not even going to listen to Hong Chi Tian's orders? Don't you want to become a heaven and earth marquis? Don't you want to share the fate of heaven and earth? Besides, you all have seen the woman beside me. She is the princess of the Holy Sea. Don't any of you want to have it? Long Fei said indifferently. It was filled with playfulness. But suddenly, Long Fei's heart trembled and felt a cold intent come to his ears. When he turned his head, he saw Hong Xiuyi looking at him with an ice-cold expression, and his eyes were already filled with tears. Long Fei's heart ached. He had already guessed what Hong Xiuyi was thinking. He even grabbed onto Hong Xiuyi's hand with all his might. Believe me, you're my woman. Nothing I do will hurt you, Long Fei said solemnly. Hong Xiuyi remained unmoved, but the iciness on his body began to dissipate. Long Fei turned his head. His expression became even colder. Hong Xiuyi's reaction made him feel helpless, so he became even more unhappy. However, Long Fei believed that as long as he could kill all these people, Hong Xiuyi would understand. Thinking about it, Long Fei's eyes released a berserk and crazy look. He looked at everyone. What? Don't tell me all of you are unmoved by this. Long Fei continued to ask. In an instant, the crowd exploded. There was madness, fear, and endless greed. She is the princess of the Holy Sea. Then, some guessed, but their faces instantly changed drastically. Long Fei, he's Long Fei. His words immediately attracted everyone's attention. What did the word Long Fei represent? It was strength, it was luck, it was destiny, it was women. It was the supreme power of the entire world of the sun god. In an instant, everyone's eyes turned red with desire. It was as if he was trying to kill someone. At this time, Long Fei also chuckled and looked towards the crowd. That's right, you're right. I am Long Fei. Since you all want to kill me, then come at me. This father will stay here today and pick out your so-called experts from the Yang God realm. If you don't accept it, then let's fight. Arrogant beyond compare, ignoring heaven and earth. Arrogant beyond compare, ignoring heaven and earth. He did not put anyone in his eyes at all. Ha ha ha, it's Long Fei. Brat, you're too arrogant. What rights do you have? What destiny? The most important thing is that your arrogance really pisses me off. Everyone attacked together. Kill him. In the blink of an eye, a few voices sounded from the crowd. Immediately after, one figure after another soared into the sky, attacking Long Fei from different directions. And Long Fei, at this moment, also let out a small sigh of relief. Has he finally taken a bait? Since that's the case, then let me start a massacre today. Long Fei took a deep breath in his heart and hugged Hong Xiuyi. He gazed at her with deep emotion and said, "Silly girl, your royal father already knew that we had come to the sacred court. Didn't he use you as a bargaining chip to make you work hard for him? Then today, I will kill all those who are ready to make a move. Come, your husband will bring you to kill someone." Long Fei said indifferently. It was extremely plain, but every word struck against Hong Xiuyi's heart. Especially the last sentence, "take her to kill people." It also caused Hong, an autumn leaf, to instantly fall. Unconsciously, he hugged Long Fei tightly. So he knows everything. So, everything that he has done was because of me. So, Hong Xiuyi's heart was flooded with emotions, and all of the coldness melted in an instant. Looking at Long Fei's side profile as though she was being slashed by a knife, her beautiful eyes continued to linger around. As for Long Fei, he was currently completely immersed in the brewing of the massacre. You want to keep a low profile, even if you have the strength? He still needed to hide in secret? Non-existent. Moreover, Long Fei had a guess. That was Hong Yi. It was true that Hong Yi had left the world of the sun god, but he had always been thinking about the sun god world. Otherwise, he wouldn't have split his thoughts and returned from the other side to entrust the task to Long Fei. And now, the Yang God realm was riddled with holes, especially since it involved his inheritance. Therefore, he could not bear to wash up, so he could only do everything with Long Fei's help. Of course, this conjecture did not come out of nowhere. The root cause of all this was Hong Xiuyi and his clone. Was the destiny of a world so easily divided? Hong Yi had transcended the other side. Even if he faced them himself, he only needed to run. No matter how powerful his clone was, could it avoid Hong Yi? It was basically impossible. As such, it was highly likely that Hong Yi's plan was to have his clone steal the karmic luck away from him. By now, Hong Xiuyi was basically guaranteed to become together with him. For what? Of course, it was to let Long Fei be steadfast in protecting the Yang God realm. F***CK. I didn't know that you had already done this for my doppelganger. Hong Yi, you are awesome. However, your descendant is going to be my woman. Ha. Long Fei laughed out loud in his heart, and then immediately took out his war god saber. At this time, the attacks in the air also arrived. One slash is invincible. Long Fei bellowed and slashed with his blade. Swish! The light of the blade instantly expanded to 30,000 meters, as if it wanted to sever the heaven and earth, divide the yin and yang, and cut through time and space. A boundless radiance instantly illuminated the void. Ryublel. Boom, boom, boom. Under the blade, the shadows of a few attacks instantly vanished into thin air and were annihilated by Long Fei's blade. However, this was not the end. Wherever the blade's light passed by, it formed a power that could destroy the heavens and the earth. That power, and its final target, was the Golden Light Law that had descended. Aren't you awesome? The Golden Light Law, wanted throughout the entire process? Fine, then I'll jump out and cut off your command. Destroy powerhouse that you think can work hard. When the time comes, do you want to be arrogant and take a look? All of this was done by Long Fei for Hong Chi Tian to see. It was for the sake of telling him in a high-profile manner. Don't put on an act. Especially don't put on airs in front of lousy. Because the price of acting tough, you can't afford it. It was also at this time that the strength of one of Long Fei's slashes finally landed on the golden light in the air. A crisp breaking sound could be heard. Everyone in the sky was already incomparably shocked. No one would have thought that Long Fei was actually this crazy. He's provoking the gods. To disrespect the holy court, to disrespect the emperor, is to disrespect Izu. Prodigal ambition. He actually wants to kill us all. Madman, this is a madman. Countless voices rang out, all of them trembling. Once the Golden Light Law was issued, they were all enforcers. As long as they had the intent to kill Long Fei in their hearts, it was equivalent to accepting the decree of the Golden Light Law. And now, even the Golden Light Law command had been slashed by Long Fei, which made this clear. He wanted to turn the sky upside down. And Long Fei, at this moment, was also looking at the shattered and scattered golden light. His gaze focused slightly, and then killing intent appeared once again. You all, are you ready? Long Fei turned around, the war god blade shining brightly in his hand. The people in the void then became restless, their hearts filled with boundless terror. No, don't kill me. I was wrong. I was just thinking. I didn't have such thoughts. Right, let me go. The princess is yours, and the Yang God realm is yours. If you let us go, we'll be your dog. Countless voices begging for mercy appeared from the void, one after another. No one could be indifferent in the face of death. Especially now, when even the Golden Light Law command had been destroyed by Long Fei, they were all more clear on Long Fei's intent to kill them. In this sort of situation, they didn't even have the courage to resist and instantly admitted defeat. Of course, there were also some people who understood. Long Fei would never let them off, even if they begged for mercy. Thus, in this instant, they simultaneously exploded forth. A monstrous power rumbled in the void. Blades, swords, palms, and many other kinds of violent forces gathered together. At this moment, all of his purpose was to kill Long Fei. However, this kind of power in front of Long Fei was not even enough. A single slash was invincible. Not to say, and what Long Fei had been waiting for was for them to make their move in time. Good job. When you guys want to kill me, you should have already thought of the result. Hong Chi Tian, watch carefully. Your memorial archway has been cut down by me, and your dogs will also be destroyed by me. You don't have the qualifications to kill me. Long Fei laughed. He was extremely crazed. So what if it was the master of the sacred court? If it wasn't for Hong Qiu Ye's management, Long Fei would have already gone to the sacred court. However, just in time, the experience brought by these countless powerhouses was enough to make Long Fei satisfied. Boom! After he finished speaking, Long Fei immediately took action. The war god's saber exploded with absolute strength, each of them filled with an unparalleled will to fight. His fighting spirit was limitless. Battle of the Great Earth, War of the Nine Heavens, War of the Nether Realm. One slash was invincible. I am invincible. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In an instant, it was as if Long Fei had pierced through the void. At the same time, the system notifications constantly sounded beside Long Fei's ears. Ding! Countless notifications went on, but to Long Fei, it was a pleasure to listen to, like the most beautiful sounds in the world. At the same time, a purple ray of light shot into the sky from the Holy Emperor's palace in the Holy Court. Long Fei, enough! Rumbling filled the air, and boundless multicolored light spread out. Rumbling filled the air, and boundless multicolored light spread out. Long Fei's expression was calm, but he was not moved at all. Hong Chi Tian came. To the side, Hong Qiu Ye's hands that were hugging Long Fei unconsciously tightened, as if his heart was afraid. Long Fei also slightly exerted some strength in his arm, but did not say much. At this moment, silence is better than sound. Long Fei, how dare you steal the fortune of our holy court? You dare to go against me, and even kill without restraint in the holy court. Do you think there's no one left in the holy sea? Hong Chi Tian's figure appeared. 9 and 5 energies filled the sky. The moment he became angry, the mountains and rivers howled, and the sky lost color. Long Fei disapproved. Although such an aura was powerful, it was mostly because this was the holy court. And inside the holy court, the powers of destiny condensed. Hong Chi Tian was the lord of the holy court, and he relied on the power of the country to boost his karmic luck, which was why he seemed so tyrannical. However, The truth was that his true cultivation was only at the peak of the sun god realm. Although his cultivation was extraordinary, but in front of Long Fei, it was not enough. More than a dozen young gods had died in Long Fei's hands. Therefore, when Long Fei heard Hong Chi Tian's question, he could only smile instead. As he raised his head, he looked at Hong Chi Tian. Do you think there's anyone else in your holy court? Hong Chi Tian, do you really think I won't go to the holy court to look for you? To be honest, I really don't care about the people in the entire holy court. Long Fei said in disdain. Strength was the foundation of everything. In front of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks were like paper tigers, breaking with a flick of a finger. In an instant, Hong Chi Tian's face became extremely gloomy. He looked towards Long Fei, revealing his killing intent. Long Fei, you're too arrogant, Hong Chi Tian coldly said. The dragon of destiny let out a roar of rage as it surrounded Hong Chi Tian. I'm sorry, I was born with such a temper. If I make you unhappy, then I can be at ease. It's because you're unhappy that I feel better, Long Fei said as he pulled Hong Qiuyi to his side. He faced Hong Chi Tian. At this moment, Hong Chi Tian's pupils contracted. Autumn Leaf, come over. Hong Chi Tian's voice sank. But Hong Qiuyi wasn't moved at all. Seeing that, Hong Chi Tian's expression became extremely sinister, and even his breathing became hurried. Father, please stop. Hong Qiuyi's eyes were filled with hesitation as he spoke. She looked at Hong Chi Tian. Ha ha ha, good. Even you have betrayed us. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Originally, I only wanted to rob you of your roots of destiny. But right now, all I can do is smelt you all. Only in this way will this emperor be able to obtain complete luck. As Hong Chi Tian spoke, his eyes burst with madness. And then the sky rumbled. A surging power erupted from all directions, as if an earthquake had occurred. One yuan heaven and earth is born. 2 yin and yang are fixed. The fate of the 3 geniuses falls upon us. The 4 symbols Qianquan battalion. 6 harmonies and 7 stars, 8 trigrams, 9 palaces, and 10 things fusion. Long Fei, you will still have to die in the end. If you fall into this emperor's formation, even if your body breaks through the void, you will still die without a doubt, even if you surpass the sun god. Hong Chi Tian said coldly, his eyes filled with pride. Not good. This is the heaven and earth furnace left behind by matriarch E. Father, you are ruthless. For the sake of your land and your land, for the sake of your empire, you actually want to melt the world? Hong Autumn Leaf's eyes were filled with incomparable shock. If it was said that Hong Chi Tian wanted to deprive her of the roots of karmic luck, she will resist, but she will not resent. It was not anger. But now, Hong Chi Tian was too crazy. For himself, he actually wanted to refine Long Fei with her. Ruthless? Haha, if you're not ruthless, you won't be able to stand stably. The Yang God realm is about to be destroyed. Only by fusing with the destiny of the Yang God realm will this emperor have the chance to transcend. Otherwise, at that time, I'll be like you ants living and dying in the Sun God realm. This emperor has finally gotten the cultivation I have today. How can I give it up? My good daughter, you're really capable. Originally, you could have avoided death, but now you actually colluded with Long Fei to commit adultery. Hong Chi Tian said viciously. There was no trace of warmth in his eyes. It was as if he was facing a passerby, like an ant or an animal. There wasn't the slightest bit of emotion in him. Hong Qiuyi's eyes dimmed as he looked at Hong Chi Tian with a strange expression. He kept shaking his head. It was as if he couldn't believe that the person in front of him who wanted to kill him was actually his royal father. It was a complete stranger. Terrifying cruelty. She wanted to say something, but hesitated. She wanted to say something more. But he was stopped by Long Fei. There's no point speaking anymore. Your royal father has already gone mad. Ambition has already made him lose himself. Long Fei said. He thought of Hong Yi again. The more he knew, the more certain he was that Hong Yi wanted to use his own hands to purge this world of the sun god. Otherwise, there was no need to save this kind of world. With that thought, The power on Long Fei's hand quietly condensed. Hong Xiuye's face was filled with difficulty, but facing Long Fei's words, she had nothing to say. Hong Chi Tian's actions had already completely disappointed her. What blood veins kinship, in Hong Chi Tian's eyes, was just a tool to be used. As long as he could survive, to further his strength, he could forego anything and become a sacrifice on his path of cultivation. The more he thought about it, the more sadness appeared in Hong Xiuye's eyes. At that moment, the world suddenly changed. The whole of the sacred court seemed to have turned into a huge stove. Wave after wave of a fatal aura that caused one's heart to palpitate exploded forth. Long Fei's eyes moved. The war god saber was already ready to attack. However, at this moment, Hong Xiuye stopped him. Long Fei, can you? Hong Yi said. But before he could finish, he was interrupted by Long Fei. Don't worry, I will give him a chance. If he is able to grasp it, he will still be the master of the sacred court, the sacred emperor. Long Fei said. Of course, this possibility was extremely unlikely. Even Hong Yi stopped talking. Long Fei making concessions was already his limit. She couldn't ask for more. If his own royal father really did not know how to repent, then even if he died, he would be bringing this upon himself. Thinking up to here, he let go of Long Fei and stood alone at the side. Long Fei sighed in his heart and didn't say anything more. With a flip of his hand, he flew into the air. Rumble. And at this time, a billowing and monstrous smelting power erupted forth. A wave of power that could even melt heaven and earth came sweeping over. In an instant, Long Fei felt as if he was in a volcano, and all the cells in his body started to divide infinitely under the brilliance of this power. Pain, an indescribable pain. Long Fei frowned and used all his strength to defend himself. Ha, give up. Long Fei, this emperor already knew that your body was very strong, but this power, as long as you ignore the other side, even if you were a god, you would still be refined to death. Hong Chi Tian laughed, as if he had gone mad. Endless temperature rose. Endless temperature rose. Fiery light raged. This fire was not open fire. Rather, it was a type of spiritual flesh that was difficult to catch with the naked eye, but it burned with the flames. In merely an instant, Long Fei felt as if his soul was being torn apart and was in incomparable pain. The intense pain from his fleshly body and the pulling of his soul caused Long Fei's strength to instantly decrease explosively. What was even more terrifying was that even the war god blade in his hand was melting. Damn, is it that terrifying? Long Fei was startled. This method was too explosive. Was caught off guard. Do I have to use the big hand seal again? Long Fei endured the pain and thought. However, at this time, a mysterious feeling appeared in his heart. Clone. Long Fei was startled and raised his head to look. He saw a figure descending from the sky with endless lightning above his head. Real face, I'm here. Without the slightest hesitation, with a single step, the avatar descended into the endless furnace. At the same time, the 9 heavens' thunder tribulations also descended. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The world rumbled as if it was the end of the world. Endless bolts of lightning descended from the sky, fusing into the world, causing the power of the furnace to become even more berserk. Soon after, countless nameless flames blended with the tribulation lightning and came like thunder. It went straight for Long Fei's clone. The clone, however, didn't even turn his head and rushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei was startled and stared at him. F*CK, are they bringing thunder tribulation to your father? Avatar, stop right now. Long, she shouted. At first, when Long Fei saw that his clone had arrived, he had thought that he could rely on this tribulation lightning to disperse the heaven and earth melting furnace. However, the two seemed to share the same source of power. Not only did it not cause even the slightest damage to the furnace, on the contrary, it caused the power of the furnace to become even more violent. At the same time, within the furnace, the power of the lightning tribulation became even stronger. Every single slash contained the power to split the world. Real face, I can't withstand this power. Moreover, I have now reached a critical moment. After the lightning tribulation, I will become a sun god. Now, only by returning to your body can I resist this lightning tribulation. The clone long face said. His eyes did not have any change. That was because, in the end, the clone had only been one of the souls that had been chopped off. That was because, in the end, the clone had only been one of the souls that had been chopped off. Naturally, he could not have his own thoughts. Long Fei went silent. A moment later, Long Fei raised his head, his eyes crazed. All right, let's fuse them together, Long Fei said. Because at that moment, facing this heaven and earth melting furnace, Long Fei's only method was to use the heaven and earth great hand seal. There was no other way. However, the arrival of the clone made Long Fei have another guess. That was to use the chi flow of the world of the sun god to exterminate the furnace. Receiving Long Fei's affirmative answer, the clone smiled. Then, he looked at Hong Chiu Yi as though he was looking at nothing. Woman, I've told you before, this is your man. Don't worry, he is me, and I am also him. In the end, you are still mine. Ha ha ha. The clone laughed and started walking towards Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes were filled with contempt. No wonder his clone was so infamous, being shouted for murder in the entire Yang God realm. Nothing else. This temper of his was real. Tens of thousands of yuan worth of skin. Li Shizhen's skin. Even Long Fei himself felt that this clone was too cocky. No wonder Hong Chiu Yi hated him so much. At this moment, the doppelganger finally approached. In an instant, he turned into a beam of light and entered into Long Fei's body. Instantly. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining the fortune of the Yang God realm. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining the Child of Destiny title. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining the power of Disintegrator. Ding! Function player has obtained the 9 Tribulations True Strength. Ding! Congratulations, player, on obtaining the Yang God Sword in a single breath's time. The system's voice continuously traveled to Long Fei's ears. All the energy on the clone, in this instant, directly became Long Fei's own. As for the aura on Long Fei's body, it had become even stronger at this moment. He hovered in the air, as if he was at the center of heaven and earth. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Endless amounts of destiny power exploded, gathering from all directions of the entire Yang God realm. They entered Long Fei's body. In the distance, Hong Chi Tian's eyes were bloodshot. Looking at the power of destiny on Long Fei's body, his killing intent soared to the heavens. Ah, mine's all mine. Long Fei, I want you dead. Heaven and earth's smelting furnace, refine. Hong Chi Tian shouted in anger. Following the appearance of his voice, the entire heaven and earth smelting furnace exploded in an instant. The tribulation thunder and the fire of the lifeless melting furnace once again swept over. Rumble. Boundless destructive power once again landed on Long Fei's body. Ka. Ka. Bolts of lightning struck heavily onto Long Fei's body. And Long Fei at this time simply wasn't moving at all, allowing this power to pierce through his body. Of course, it was not that Long Fei did not want to move. But at this moment, his physical body had already escaped his control. Ding! Congratulations, player. Body strength has been condensed. Body of the great Tao has been awakened. Begin to reassemble. This trip will take about an hour. Long Fei complained incessantly in his heart. An hour's time was more than enough for him to be blasted to smithereens by this power. However, to Long Fei's surprise, after the system notification, the power of the heaven and earth melting furnace smashed into his body, causing him to not feel anything at all. Moreover, the more time passed, the stronger his physical body would become. Which is to say, this half an hour of time wasn't enough to stop Long Fei's strength. The power was absorbed directly into his body. This made Long Fei even stronger. Haha, there's actually such an operation? Hong Chi Tian, rich courier, poor to eat chicken. I didn't think that the meticulously planned layout would become a source of power for me. Long Fei laughed out loud in his heart. This feeling of surging power could only be described with one word. That would be great. Especially at this moment, even the power of the heaven and earth melting furnace had fused into his body. This kind of good fortune, this kind of opportunity, was completely the tempo to let Long Fei go to the heavens. Of course, no one in the outside world would be able to see all of this. Even Hong Chiu-yi, who was inside the furnace, could not see the changes happening to Long Fei's body. However, in her eyes, she saw that Long Fei had been completely engulfed by the violent energy of heaven and earth and was in an incomparable state of panic. There were many times when he wanted to rush over without a care for his own safety. In the distance, Hong Chi Tian laughed loudly. In his view, Long Fei was definitely going to die. This kind of power had used up almost all of the power in his sacred court. It was more than enough to even destroy the Yang God world. He could not believe that a single person's strength could withstand it. Die. As long as you die, this emperor will obtain the root of this unfilial daughter's destiny. At that time, I will be someone who will inherit the destiny of heaven and earth. If my destiny is mine, and the world is mine, who can stop me from transcending? Hong Chi Tian laughed incessantly. At the same time, a voice came from the void. Are you done laughing? Especially after Long Fei had fused with the memories of his clone, he had gained more recognition towards Hong Chiu-yi. Therefore, when he saw Hong Chiu-yi, who was heavily injured and had almost died, the anger in Long Fei's heart instantly flared up. He wanted nothing more than to annihilate the world and collapse the world. No, impossible. This is a power left behind by Izu. You can't break it. You are just a trash from the outside world. How could you possess such strength? I don't believe it. Hong Chi Tian's eyes were filled with shock. There was no longer any spirit in his eyes, only panic. At this moment, he understood. He had lost. The moment Long Fei broke through the furnace, his defeat was already set in stone. Hong Yi? Even if Hong Yi comes, I will still grind your bones and scatter your ashes. Long Fei said, overbearing and matchless. He was resolute. No one could hurt his woman. Even if Hong Chi Tian was the biological father of Hong Chiu-yi, Long Fei would definitely kill someone like him. No, you can't kill me. The Yang God realm is about to be destroyed. I am a master of the sacred court, so the moment I die, the destiny of the entire Yang God realm will collapse. At that time, the power of the outside world will descend. When the time comes, everyone will die with me. Hong Chi Tian said, seemingly grabbing onto the last life-saving straw. His eyes stared straight at Long Fei. But all of this, to Long Fei, what did it matter? For his own woman, Long Fei could turn the entire world upside down and fix his own reflection. In fact, if the destruction of the entire Yang God realm was exchanged for Hong Chiu-yi's complete recovery, Long Fei would not even bat an eye. However, it was too late to say anything now. Hong Chiu-yi had already been hit by the furnace's power, and his entire body had lost its chance of survival. If it were not for the miraculous power in his body, he would have been dead by now. Therefore, the current Long Fei was unable to contain his anger. Thus, Hong Chi Tian had to die. Ta. Step by step, Long Fei walked over. Killing intent burst out his eyes. As for Hong Chi Tian, he was finally afraid at this moment. His eyes were filled with panic. Don't come over. Don't come over. Long Fei, don't forget, you still have a brother in my hands. If you dare to attack me, I can guarantee that they will die quite miserably. Hong Chi Tian threatened, his eyes filled with a strong desire. But at this moment, a clear and cold voice appeared out of nowhere. Hubby, kill him. The black knife and the rest have been rescued by us. Now, and he's still in a coma. Aoya's sword strike rose into the air with dense killing intent. Long Fei's eyes moved slightly. He looked at Aoya, then saw the black knife and the rest supporting Aoya behind her. Killing intent exploded from him. Hong Chi Tian, You are truly a heavenly Xiao. Even if you want to die, you don't care. Originally, you could have lived, but now, go to hell. Boom. In his rage, Long Fei punched out. In the blink of an eye, the wind swept and the sky shook. It was as if, in response to Long Fei's rage, killing intent was born. Boom! Asterisk with a single fist, Hong Chi Tian's figure was immediately blown into the air by Long Fei, and fresh blood violently sprayed along the way. More than that, the instant his figure landed on the ground, Long Fei's figure also instantly chased after him. And then, boom, 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 punch after punch. It was as though he was venting his anger as he madly attacked. Under Long Fei's attack, Hong Chi Tian's figure also completely disintegrated, turning into limitless amounts of residue that floated down from the sky. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Holy Hall's Lord, Hong Chi Tian. You have received 50,000 experience points. Holy Source points, 500,000 points. Striking value, 1 point. Ding! Congratulations to the player who has obtained the Holy Court's Divine Seal. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining Sky Emperor Furnace. The system's voice rang out, extremely berserk. If it was in the past, Long Fei would definitely be extremely excited. But now, even though Hong Xiuye's life and death was unknown, Long Fei was not the least bit excited. However, right at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in midair. It was as if he had opened up the void and traversed across the river of stars, shining through the void of the entire holy court. Long Fei's eyes were also instantly attracted to it. Hong Yi? A joyous expression appeared in Long Fei's eyes. If there was anyone in this world who could save Hong Xiuye, then Hong Yi was definitely the most likely person. Brat, stop talking nonsense. I'm asking you, do you want to save him? Hong Yi asked. The one talking rubbish is you. Of course I have to save my woman, Long Fei said. Hearing this reply, Hong Yi smiled and said in a low voice, It's very easy to save her. Save her, then go sleep with her. Long Fei was startled. Could there be such a good thing? Long Fei was startled. Could there be such a good thing? And it was even Hong Yi who pushed it to him? In that moment, Long Fei looked at Hong Yi with doubt. Brat, don't think too much. Right now, your clone has fused with most of the Yang God Realm's destiny. And this girl has the root of karmic luck in her body. Only when all of you fuse together like water and milk can you reunite your Yang energy and luck. Hong Yi said. The doubt in Long Fei's eyes was also relieved in an instant. From Hong Yi's words, he was able to deduce the key to saving Hong Xiuye. That was luck. With a thought, Long Fei did not hesitate at all. All of you wait here. I'll go treat Autumn Leaf first. Long Fei said. Then, with his arms around Hong Xiuye, Long Fei took a step forward and directly entered the sacred hall. Shortly after, his spiritual scene moved. Sky Spill Beast, arranged for space. Long Fei immediately awakened the Sky Evolution Beast and set up a maze array, blocking all senses. For a time, the spring sun shone brightly. With an extremely heavy heart, Long Fei began to explore the mysteries of life. The moment their bodies completely merged, spirit and body as one, Long Fei only felt that his spiritual sense instantly merged with Hong Xiuye's. Following that, an endless amount of destiny from the Yang God Realm gathered on Hong Xiuye's body. It then formed a cycle. This kind of luck was like yin and yang intersecting as they moved back and forth from their bodies. Instantly, Long Fei's senses immediately reached their peak. At this moment, Hong Yi opened his eyes. She blushed all over as she watched Long Fei move around on her. Long Fei, Hong Yi whispered, after which the nine tails struck out. It instantly enveloped Long Fei. Beneath the nine tails was Meng Lang. Of course, such a scenario was not enough to be described by anyone. An hour later, the rain stopped. Long Fei embraced Hong Xiuye and walked out together with her. At this moment, Hong Yi was even more charming. Moreover, his aura was extremely powerful, and a tyrannical aura circulated around his body. It was precisely the power he obtained after regaining the Yang God Realm's destiny. Long Fei was the same. It could be said that the fate of the two of them was now shared. Boss! Li Yuanba and the rest came over. Long Fei's expression also darkened, because at this moment, Black Knife and the rest were still unconscious. Long Fei, I can save them. Hong Yi said. You can? Long Fei said in surprise. The injuries on their bodies were extremely strange, and there were a method that was used on the soul. Even he felt that it was tricky. This was because this kind of injury was not something that could be simply cured with pills. That's right. Don't forget, I've regained my destiny. Hong Yi smiled mysteriously. On to hand. As he moved, he drew air currents from the void above him. The light of destiny descended from the sky, instantly enveloping Black Knife and the rest. Rumble. In an instant, the light of Qi washed over the Black Knife's body again and again. Long Fei's eyes lit up. An indescribable feeling grew in his heart. At this moment, he actually felt that the auras of the Black Knife and the rest were growing stronger. His life force also gradually recovered. Boom! The light of destiny shook and then suddenly dissipated. Black Knife and the rest recovered as well. Boss! In an instant, all of them were extremely excited as they looked at Long Fei. Long Fei was excited too. Brothers, charge and fight against heaven and earth. This was a style they had never changed. And now, after the baptism of the Yang God Realm's destiny, the bodies of the spectators all grew even stronger. Right, there are still a few demonic gods here that have the power to match yours. After refinement, you will become a sun god with a single step. Long Fei said, and distributed the remaining power to the Black Knife, Arhut, and the others. The Black Knife looked solemn and saw the dark energy of the heavens at first glance. Arhut directly locked onto the Golden Spider King. In an instant, all the forces had been divided up. Long Fei, their bodies had just been baptized by the Yang God Realm's destiny. It won't take too long to refine them now. Hong Yi said. The Black Knife and the rest looked towards Hong Xiu-Yi and spoke at the same time. Eldest sister-in-law. Hong Ye's face turned red, but he still nodded his head. As a result, Hong Yi could be considered to have completely merged with them. Aoya, Yuro, Lu Luoshi, and the others also surrounded Long Fei. Beautiful beyond compare. If a few people stood together, it would be a beautiful scenery that would instantly kill off the existence of an entire world. Long Fei was elated in his heart. His only regret was that the little guy couldn't find him now. Right, I felt it just now. The power outside the Yang God Realm is already quickly approaching. It won't be long before it descends upon the Yang God Realm. After he relaxed his mind, Long Fei muttered to himself. Now, the Yang God Realm's outcome had already been decided. Since even Hong Chi Tian had exploded, the entire Yang God Realm was basically already under their control. As for the Meng Shanji who was hiding in the darkness, Long Fei believed that Hong Yi would not just let him do as he pleased. Yes, I feel it too. The destiny of the entire Yang God Realm was already shrinking rapidly. I'm afraid that the day the God of Boundary is born in the Sun God Realm will be the day the power of the outside world descends. Hong Qiuye also said. Long Fei was startled. He suddenly looked towards Hong Qiuye with doubt in his eyes and asked, God of Boundary? Don't the Yang God Realm have God of Boundary? Are you talking about the previous generation's God of Boundary? Zhongling Xiu. Hong Qiuye was also startled, somewhat surprised by how Long Fei knew. Long Fei laughed gently and immediately summoned his god's pavilion, releasing Zhong Shunxiu from within. Master, as soon as Zhong Lingxiu landed on the ground, she immediately kneeled at Long Fei's feet. He was incomparably pious. He hated himself for not giving his knees to Long Fei, as if he was willing to give up everything to you. It was also at this time that the shocked expression on Hong Qiuye's face became even more indescribable. God of Boundary? Why is he still alive? Hong Qiuye said in shock, and the power of karmic luck within his body suddenly rose. Zhong Lingxiu was also stunned for a moment before she exclaimed, "Ancestral blood vein? The root of destiny?" I. Zhong Xinxiu was extremely excited, and then he began to wail. "I've been waiting for this day for so long. You, the holy courtyard, have caused Laozi so much suffering." Zhong Xinxiu's face was filled with grief and anguish. However, at this moment, he suddenly became alert. All the complaints on his face suddenly turned into horror, especially when he saw that everyone around him was looking at him with a face full of amusement. His expression turned bitter. Suddenly, his gaze turned towards Long Fei. "Master, could it be the Empress again?" Long Fei glanced at him snappily. "What do you think?" In an instant, Zhong Lingxiu's face twisted as if she had just eaten a cactus. The pain was indescribable. Finally, he turned around and looked at Hong Qiuyi. "Mistress, I've finally waited for you. This day will eventually come. I can finally give you the location of my god of boundary. I've waited far too long for this day." Zhong Xinxiu had a pious expression on his face, which was coupled with the fact that he was telling the truth. Zhong Xinxiu had a pious expression on his face, which was coupled with the fact that he was telling the truth. Even Long Fei had to say something. F***CK. Heavenly Xiu. Xiu Air, it's really you. Long Fei was powerless to retort in his heart. But in Long Fei's heart, how could he have the mind to watch his performance? "Cut the crap. Just tell me what happened." Only then did Zhong Xinxiu feel at ease. It was as if he had been granted amnesty. Looking at Long Fei, his expression became heavy. "Master, you already know that my identity as a god of boundary is too useless. It's just a setup between a few inheritances and the holy mansion and a cannon fodder that sent me away. It's all for the sake of seeing and hearing, to let the ancient world's power be satisfied without attacking, and to allow the young god realm more time. Actually, what I'm fighting for is the time for the birth of a new child of destiny." As Zhong Lingxiu spoke, she looked toward Hong Qiuyi. He continued, "But the name of the god of boundary is actually the young god realm's choice. The sun god world's destiny has already been formed on the matriarch's body. However, you still need the heavens and earth to live up to your reputation before you can truly become a god of boundary." Zhong Lingxiu said. Hearing that, Long Fei already understood. The so-called true name mentioned by Zhong Lingxiu must be something that would require him to explain it to her personally. Just like the Zen blessing on earth, the crown was bestowed by the heavens. With that thought, Long Fei looked at Hong Qiuyi. At this time, it was up to Hong Qiuyi to make the decision. After all, by becoming the god of boundary, one would be able to confront the danger of the Yang God realm. As a result, Long Fei was also somewhat worried in his heart. And at this time, Hong Qiuyi also fell into silence. She was well aware of the dangers of the Yang God realm. She was even more clear that as long as she accepted the position of god of boundary, she would be closely connected to it. As for the danger of the Yang God realm, it was one side. More importantly, if she were to become a god of boundary, she would not be able to leave the Yang God realm for a short period of time. Long Fei, on the other hand, came from the outside world. What she was truly worried about was not wanting to separate from Long Fei. For a time, Hong Qiuyi was in a state of hesitation. However, at this time, Hong Yi appeared in the air once again. His hands moved, and a streak of profound light was pulled out from Zhong Xinxiu's body. There's no need to think further. With my name, I bestow upon Hong Qiuyi the god of boundary. Yang Qi Luck Fusion. Hong Yi's voice spread throughout the world. In an instant, the karmic luck of the Endless Tower rose directly, enveloping the sacred court. And on Hong Ye's body, it was as if he had turned into a container. She, who had already inherited the qi of heaven and earth, was lifted up by the monstrous qi of qi. She floated in the air. Long Fei muttered to himself and did not stop him. After Hong Yi woke up, Long Fei had already returned all of his qi and luck. This power was useless to him. To him, the sun god world was only a transfer point in knowledge, and it wouldn't be long before he would be able to leave. The divine space was his true battlefield. Therefore, Long Fei left none of this power and returned it to Hong Qiuye. At this time, seeing that Hong Qiuye had already fused with the destiny of the Yang God realm, his heart calmed down. To Hong Qiuye, this was an opportunity. Ryu Yuan Blow. The boundless power of karmic luck continued to converge, and the aura emanating from Hong Qiuye's body continued to grow stronger. Swish! At this moment, amidst the vast void, a resplendent golden bridge descended. It was like a ladder leading to the heavens that led to the river of stars. Long Fei was startled. The other side of the bridge? Long Fei said in a serious tone. The other side of the bridge extended to the other side. Within the world of the sun god, when Chungyang became god, there would also be a bridge that connected him to the other side. However, it was an illusory bridge, and at this time, Hong Qiuye's bridge could be seen with the naked eye. It was incomparably real. It was obvious that this was not the sun god bridge. At this time, Hong Qiuye's figure also stepped onto the other side of the bridge and began to move forward. 1 step, 2 steps. The whole process went on smoothly without any hindrances. In the blink of an eye, Hong Qiuye's figure had already reached the other end of the bridge. He had only taken a few steps, but he had already crossed the river. Long Fei also let out a sigh of relief. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. At first, under the calm surface of the other side of the bridge, an extremely powerful force suddenly appeared. Incomparable evil. It was as if the evil powers of the entire world had been gathered and was about to corrode the other side of the bridge. In the blink of an eye, the entire other side of the bridge became dark and gloomy, constantly swaying. Meng Xinji, you're courting death. Hong Yi's voice sounded again from the void. Infuriated. Ha ha. Hong Yi, you miscalculated in the end. What has come to this place is only your will. What's the use of having your real body on the other side? I've said before, in this era, only I can get past the other side. Ha, the other side of the bridge collapsed for me. Meng Xinji was full of laughter. In that instant, Hong Qiuye's figure was enveloped by an endless amount of evil energy. The void turned blood red. Greedy ghost faces appeared one after another, opening their bloody mouths and beginning to devour Hong and Autumn Leaf's karmic power. Below, Long Fei's eyes instantly burned with anger. In an instant, at this moment, his physical strength seemed to have gone out of control as it began to move on its own. One by one, the cells began to split and reform, and each of the acupoints began to condense their power. Without hesitation, Long Fei leaped up and flew across the sky. In just a moment of absent-mindedness, he had fused with the endless evil energy and arrived at Hong Qiuye's side, hugging him in his arms. Long Fei, me, Hong Qiuye said, a trace of panic flashing across his face. Her aura was extremely unstable, and her entire person seemed to be dispirited and dispirited. As the power of destiny dissipated, it was already destined that she would fail to cross the other side. But halfway through her words, she was stopped by Long Fei. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. As long as I am here, I will definitely let you succeed, Long Fei said firmly. However, just as his voice fell, Meng Xinji's voice sounded again. Definitely succeed? Haha, I can see that you were just dreaming. Long Fei, you are too arrogant. At this point, even the Yang God Realm's luck has been devoured by me. Do you think you still have the qualifications to say the word success? Ha. As matters stand, I have nothing to worry about anymore. As long as you devour the Yang God Realm's destiny, then refine your son's power of nether. I will transcend the void, transforming the world into a world of darkness and darkness. I shall be the sole ruler. No one can stop me. Ha. At the center of evil, Meng Xinji was laughing maniacally. Long Fei's eyes congealed, and his killing intent instantly condensed to a high point. Old bastard, you really are a thief even if you are old, and yet you don't die. However, in this world, there is nothing that I, Long Fei, am not capable of. If you want to devour Yang energy and luck, then let's see who can devour who. The fate of the entire sky In the name of I, Long Fei, shall be seized. Long Fei roared out, and instantly a gigantic whirlpool formed around him. The powers of karmic luck began to converge from the void. They had returned into Long Fei's body. This scene shook the heavens. Even in the air, Hong Yi's thought at this moment was stunned. He never thought that Long Fei actually had this kind of power to be able to devour karmic luck. Ah, good job, kid. It is not in vain that I bet all of my juniors on you. He didn't let me down after all. Hong Yi laughed loudly. Long Fei acted as if she did not hear it, and devoured with all her heart. After devouring it, he would pass it down to the Hong Qiu Yi in his arms. All of a sudden, Hong Qiu Yi's body melted into Long Fei's embrace, and the gaze in which he looked at Long Fei with was filled with infatuation. And at this time, the most shocked person was none other than Meng Xinji. Devour karmic luck? Impossible. For the sake of the luck of this era, I have refined the evil power of the previous era. How could you possibly take me away? I don't believe it. Meng Xinji screamed. He couldn't believe it. However, his current words to Long Fei were just a joke. The more crazily he shouted, the more Long Fei was pleased with himself. Seize my woman's chance? Plotting against my son? You want to compete with your father? Meng Xinji, I've given you face, haven't I? Long Fei said coldly, and with every word she said, the speed at which she devoured energy became even faster. In the blink of an eye, the energy that had been devoured by Meng Xinji had been recaptured by Long Fei and channeled into Hong Qiu Yi's body. How could you be so damn awesome? You've been scheming for so long. Why haven't you calculated it? Is this daddy the current lucky child of the Yang God realm? You want to compete with Lousy? Are you worthy? Long Fei said fiercely, her eyes filled with endless ridicule. If Long Fei wanted to, the entire Yang God realm's destiny would be him. There was nothing else because he was the son of destiny decided by the system. The system is the way of the king. It was the same for any other world. In front of the power of the system, they had to stand aside. As for Meng Xinji, he was even more berserk. The moment Long Fei acted, she immediately shattered his eternal hope. How could he not feel hatred? No, Long Fei. That's mine. Mine. Meng Xinji seemed to be screaming, hysterically falling into a state of insanity. Yours? Meng Xinji, why don't you take a look? Are you even worthy? This time, it's your doppelganger who did it, right? Don't worry. Your father won't let you off, even if it's just a clone. Moreover, when your true body arrives, it will be the end of you. Long Fei said coldly. Begging? Begging for mercy? Non-existent. Even if the little fellow was still in Meng Xinji's hands, Long Fei would absolutely not have any scruples. After all, he believed Hong Yi's words. Therefore, Long Fei was not worried at all about the little guy's safety. Instantly, Long Fei made her move. With a flip of his hand, a furnace appeared in Long Fei's hand. 10 cubes of the cosmic melting furnace. Refine it for me. Long Fei bellowed, and then the heaven and earth shook. A huge and formless energy emitted from Long Fei's hand. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The void began to rumble. In front of the power of the heaven and earth furnace, even space trembled, and the evil power that belonged to Meng Xinji began to evaporate in an instant. It was just a simple contact, and yet it was immediately refined. Roar! No, I'm going to tear you apart. Meng Xinji was struggling in pain, but everything was already decided. It was completely useless. Long Fei's strength could no longer be compared to how it was in the past. Now, if he wanted to kill Meng Xinji, he didn't need to rely on the mortal life palm. The same could be said about the heaven and earth smelting furnace. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Meng Xinji's clone. You have received 40,000 experience points, 40,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations, player, on obtaining evil devouring power. The system beep appeared. This also meant that Meng Xinji had been completely refined and no longer existed. Ah, well done. Kid, I didn't expect you to have this kind of power. Hong Yi's will of the body said. Humph. Long Fei immediately let out a cold snort and wasn't in a good mood. He turned around and looked at Hong Qiuyi. Come, your husband will take you to the other side. Long Fei said softly. Hong Qiuyi was already obsessed with it. In her eyes, the moment Long Fei moved to protect him, she would not refuse no matter what Long Fei said. Even if it was Long Fei who wanted him to give up on the god of boundary. Since she no longer cared about the life and death of the entire Yang God realm, she would not hesitate in the slightest. It was only because he was Long Fei. In an instant, Hong Qiuyi leaned on Long Fei's shoulder and followed Long Fei towards the other side of the lake. Soon, they could see the end of the bridge. One step across, that was the other side. As for Long Fei, she had already seen Hong Yi, who was waiting on the other side. He silently raised his middle finger. Nothing else. Let's go, we'll cross this step. Husband, and you will travel the same distance. Long Fei said with a smile. Hong Yi nodded heavily. However, just as the two of them took a step forward, the entire other side of the bridge began to collapse. It was as if he didn't want them to pass by. Not good. Long Fei, the ancient world's power has been released. Suddenly, Hong Yi shouted from the other side. Long Fei's footsteps paused and instinctively carried Hong Qiuyi in his arms. And then his eyes trembled as he stared into the void, towards the vast expanse of space and time beyond. Shwa shwa shwa. Streams of destructive power shot out from the endless space and time around them. The appearance of this power caused the world of the sun god to be completely shut down. It was as if he had sensed an instinctive fear. Since the world had closed itself off, the bridge over the river could no longer continue to exist. Ancient world? Could it be you, Emperor Xian? Long Fei thought, her gaze becoming increasingly cold. On the other side, Hong Yi's expression was also extremely ugly, as if he had also missed a step. He never expected that this kind of fork would appear at such a time. Long Fei, forget it. Seems like he did not have such luck after all. However, even if you ignore the other side, there is still a chance. We can only meet again after this crisis is resolved. Hong Yi's voice sounded. However, Long Fei completely ignored him. He turned around to take a look and said, Forget it. Impossible. If my woman wants to cross the river, no one can stop her. If the other side of the bridge doesn't pass, then I will crush it. If the heaven and earth doesn't bend, then your father will destroy it. If he doesn't move in the air, then I will annihilate him. If you don't move beyond the other side, I'll move. Long Fei spoke word by word with a sinister look on her face. Incomparable madness. Hong Yi's expression became serious as he looked at Hong Yi, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. All right, what a great beyond the river. Long Fei, I will be waiting for you on the other side of the lake. I can even help you fight against the ancient world once. Hong Yi said. After hearing this, the craziness in Long Fei's eyes became even more berserk. Turn around and gather all the energy in your body in an instant. Great hand seal of the mortal life, form it. The power of life, the faith of all. The power of life, the faith of all. The appearance of the big hand seal caused a sensation on the other side of the river. The other side of the bridge suddenly began to move, causing the entire space to be filled with the noise of battle. Amidst the rumbling sounds, an endless oppressive force shot out from the other side, seemingly wanting to suppress Long Fei and Hong Qiuyi. Boom! Rumble, rumble, rumble. The pressure was unparalleled, and even space itself began to distort. Even Long Fei found it hard to resist at this time. In that instant, his body was crushed and bent. However, Long Fei's eyes were still filled with unswerving determination, and he firmly held onto Hong Qiuyi's body. The hand of life, help me to enter the other side. Long Fei shouted. Instantly, the faith of the countless living beings gathered on the hand. Streams of invisible power gathered in the air and eventually gathered together. In the end, a pair of large, sparkling hands extended across the void connecting towards the boundless void. The two of them supported Long Fei and Hong Xiuya's bodies. Rumble, rumble. At the same time, a violent force swept through from the void. The boundless energy of the world exploded forth. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and a violent wind blew. This was the power of the heaven and earth, as well as the power of nature. It was as if he wanted to destroy this big hand and stop Long Fei. But at this moment, Long Fei's figure was like a rocket, a flash. He shattered the void. Then he took a step forward, appearing in the starry sky off to the side. At this moment, Hong Yi suddenly appeared. This time, the real one had also appeared. It was not an illusory body. Fellow Taoist, you truly are incredible. Hong Yi cupped his hands and said, if it was before, he would definitely not have dared to imagine that Long Fei's strength could make it to the other side. However, the current Long Fei was no longer the same as before. Even though there was still a gap, he had crossed the other side. This Tao friend had already expressed his attitude. Hong, the scenery on the other side isn't that great either. Long Fei said indifferently. He felt incomparably carefree in his heart. Fighting the heavens, fighting the earth, fighting with others. It was incredibly enjoyable. His entire life, he had been constantly fighting and killing. Now that he had suppressed the power of the other shore and landed on the other side, Long Fei felt extremely comfortable in his heart. At the same time, Hong Autumn Leaf's aura also began to change. Under the effect of the power of the other shore, it began to sublimate. As for Long Fei, he was the same as well. The strength of his physical body began to change abruptly. Ding! Congratulations, player, on reaching the other side of the river. Physical transformation. Vacuum particle. Transform however you want. Description: the body is invincible and can be upgraded. At the current level, the other side is void, the other side is void, the other side is limitless, the other side is the master of the era. The system prompted. Long Fei's eyes flashed. This was a qualitative breakthrough. Ha! F***CK. There's no need to split the time between them anymore. Before the evolution of the void on the other side of the sea, I could kill the sun god. And the sun god is already comparable to the peak of the super great, complete realm of ancient world. That is to say, with my current strength, I'm at the super perfection stage. I'll have to rest for a few minutes. Long Fei thought and looked. He looked out into the endless space and time. A faintly discernible ball of energy was approaching him at an unimaginable speed. The power of the ancient world. Come. It doesn't matter if you are the masters of primal chaos or Xian nationality. Your father is waiting for you here. Long Fei's eyes were blazing like a burning flame. Of course, it was a type of fighting spirit that erupted. No matter which power of the ancient world arrived. In front of Long Fei, there was only one word. That was killing. At this time, Hong Yi also approached. Congratulations, the strength of your body has now reached the other side. If you want to protect the Yang God realm, then you have an additional sliver of hope. Hong Yi said. He had transcended the other side of the lake countless of times, so it was natural that he could tell the changes in Long Fei with a single glance. The strength of the ancient world may not be as terrifying as you think. Moreover, with your strength, what is there to be afraid of? Long Fei asked. He was slightly disdainful. Right now, he only desired to fight, especially now that his strength had broken through. It made Long Fei's heart surge with limitless energy. I can't wait to return to the ancient world right now. As such, he felt disdain towards Hong Yi's conservative attitude. But Hong Yi, he shook his head. Long Fei, you should know that every single world has its own set of rules. Haven't you noticed that after you arrive in the world of the sun god, the peak of this world is nothing but a piece of cake in front of you? Hong Yi asked with a grim expression. Long Fei was also stunned. Before this, he felt that this world was terrifyingly weak. Other than Meng Xinji, he was the only one who could do anything. A punch exploded. There were no obstructions. You mean? Ancient world's power is suppressing the Yang God world? Long Fei said. It's not suppression. Hong Yi shook his head. You were an accident. I had long since seen your clone coming from the other side of the river of love. Everything that had happened to you had long surpassed the trajectory of the young god realm. Therefore, even I am unable to see through you. As for the impending arrival of ancient world's power, it's also because of the influence of the foreign power. It was this power that caused the young god realm to face such a crisis. Because the person in front of us is not an ancient world, but a foreign force. As he spoke, Hong Yi's expression became more and more solemn. Then, he looked at Long Fei and said, "You should be clear that the war for the god of boundary is about to begin. It just so happens to be a coincidence that my sun god realm is the key amongst them." Hong Yi said. Long Fei's heart was also startled. The war for the god of boundary. This was a central point that surrounded him in the unknown. He had never imagined that the key to the war for supremacy would be the sun god world. What you mean is, once the power of the ancient world attacks, the war for the god of boundary will begin. Long Fei asked. His heart was filled with anticipation. Yes, that's right. The strongest person in the ancient world had tyrannical power. Even I cannot see through them. Moreover, with the help of the power of other realms, the sun god world has been completely suppressed. And now is the critical time. Now, your woman has not become a god of boundary. Once he becomes a god of boundary, it would mean that the young god realm has advanced further, surpassing its original level. At that time, the battle for supremacy in the god of boundary would also completely begin. Hong Yi said. Long Fei's heart sank a little. The whole thing was a bit confusing. Hong Yi was very secretive again. However, Long Fei understood. Now, the crux of the matter lay with Hong Qiuye. As long as Hong Autumn Leaf becomes the god of boundary. At that time, the god of boundary contest would finally begin. With that thought, Long Fei looked at Hong Qiuye. Hong Yu was in a mysterious state. His body was surrounded by countless halos of light. Within the halo of light, an indescribable power was constantly modifying Hong and Autumn Leaf. The process was very slow, but one could see with the naked eye that Hong Qiuye's aura was constantly growing stronger. It was possible to foresee that when she regained consciousness, she would definitely become a sun god. On the other side, the heavens were in his eyes. On the other side, the heavens were in his eyes. Long Fei's gaze gradually grew heavy. The four words alien powers were too heavy. Even Long Batian was suppressed by this power back then. Is it really possible for me to do the same? Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and thought in his heart. But in the next moment, a vicious aura appeared again from Long Fei's body, heavily crushing this worry. F*CK. Since when did I cower? When I was still in an Antion region, I already had the courage to face the overgods. I didn't even cower when facing the oppression of the various divine planes. Now that we have reached the divine space, why should we be afraid? Impossible. Long Fei made up his mind and extinguished all his worries. Rather than being carefree and unconcerned, it was better to add some tricks. Thinking of this, Long Fei looked to Hong Yi. Let's not talk too much nonsense. I want to forge the release wheel. Long Fei looked at Hong Yi and went straight to the point. Hong Yi was stunned for a moment, but then the corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. Wheel of Liberation? Very good. It's a real killing tool. However, I cannot help you with this matter. Hong Yi said. Why? Didn't you forge it yourself before? Long Fei did not understand. Hong Yi shook his head. Yes, you're right. I once forged my own great Wheel of Liberation. However, the Wheel of Liberation varies from person to person. The only thing I want to do is to transcend the other shore. It can be said that my Wheel of Liberation transcends the other shore. It is my foundation in the world of the sun god, my transcendent weapon. But you are different. You have already ascended to the other side. If you want to forge the Wheel of Liberation, it will be even more difficult. Hong Yi said. As he spoke, his eyes lit up, extremely sharp. However, I do know of one that might be able to give you even more power and allow you to forge the strongest killing weapon in the world. One of a kind. Even if it's a battle for supremacy in the God of Boundary, one can definitely shine. Suddenly, Hong Yi changed the topic and said. Long Fei's gaze instantly met his gaze as well. Where? Long Fei asked. Right now, the most important thing was to increase his strength. As long as possible, Long Fei would never give up. Even if it was a narrow escape, Long Fei would definitely give it a try. The most important place on the other side is the place of life and death. Hong Yi said. With that, Hong Yi turned this point into a ball of light and entered Long Fei's sea of consciousness. And at this moment, Long Fei's aura became even more distant. His breathing became rapid. Damn, Hong Yi, are you sure you're not sending me to die? This place is so terrifying. It must be a joke. Long Fei said helplessly. What Hong Yi showed him just now was a dead end. At their level, where wouldn't they go? Where can't I go? Therefore, a place that even Long Fei would think was a dead end was definitely a place that contained great terror. It wasn't that he had a narrow escape from death, but that he had a narrow escape from death. Look at me? Is this a joke? If it wasn't for the fact that I already possessed the power of the other shore, I wouldn't have been able to resist the urge to take a walk. At the worst, it would just be a battle. As long as I don't die, I will die. You're not willing to let me leave this opportunity to you? Hong Yi said snappily. However, Long Fei became silent. Honestly speaking, just from the scene that appeared with Hong Yi, Long Fei already couldn't wait to go. That kind of power, that kind of aura, made the current Long Fei's heart surge with emotions. He yearned for it. The more dangerous it was, the more it meant that there was something Long Fei wanted. All right, let's do it. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes darkened as he said directly. He had suffered, tired. He had never been scared before. This was Long Fei. No amount of strength was enough to make Long Fei lower his head. Is that right? Don't worry. I will take good care of your wife and children for you. Before you return, no one will be able to harm a single hair on your head. Hong Yi said. Long Fei nodded. With Hong Yi's words, that was enough. But then again, Long Fei felt that Hong Yi's words were a little ambiguous. Just as he was about to open his mouth to curse, he realized that Hong Yi had already disappeared. Long Fei, you can go without worry. Ha ha ha. Hong Yi's voice came from the other side of the river, but his figure was nowhere to be seen. F***, wait for Lousy to come back. I'll suppress you first. Long Fei thought. Immediately after, she gave Hong Xiu-Yi a deep look, and Long Fei's gaze became firmer. Then he turned around and flew straight to a square deep in the other side of the river. He was extremely determined. At this time, ancient world, boundless chaos wrapped around the divine space. Standing above the divine space, they formed their own world. Countless ancient families of the divine space, Zhou family, Gu family, Lin family, and so on had all been moved. And this place was known as the upper realm of the primal chaos. Ha ha, we can finally escape the control of the Emperor Xian. All of this is given to us by the Lord of Primal Chaos. The Lord of the Primal Chaos is the true ruler of all time. What Emperor Xian, what number one ancient world, they're all bragging. Only the master of the primordial chaos is truly invincible. One voice after another sounded out within a palace as laughter and laughter filled the air. And this palace was called Primal Chaos Palace. At the highest point of the Primal Chaos Palace, the figure of the Lord of all Fiends was standing there. He was supreme and unparalleled. Even if he stood there calmly, it would be enough to attract everyone's attention. They would not dare to even utter a single word. As for the Lord of Chaos, a smile was on his face as well. With primal chaos in hand, the attitude of the world was vividly displayed. All right, I have felt your piety. Don't worry, as long as you follow me. Any Emperor Xian, any Long Batian, any alien powerhouse will all have to prostrate at my feet. But now, what about the information I want you to find out? Suddenly, the Lord of all Fiends' aura changed. He became incomparably imposing as he asked this question. My lord, the Xians has been moving a little too frequently recently, as if attacking another world. We still have some information on why he is attacking us. A member of the Lin family said with a restrained expression, afraid that the Lord of Chaos would blame them. Against another world? I'm afraid that in this world, there will be more people who have grown up, causing fear in the outer space powerhouse. The Lord of all fiends said calmly, all of you, take your people and head there as well. However, he had a feeling that what the Emperor Xian was targeting was going to affect the changes in the situation. Furthermore, Long Fei might be among them. As the Lord of Chaos spoke, his killing intent exploded forth. Especially when he said the two words Long Fei, his words got even heavier. Anyone could hear the boundless killing intent contained within it. Don't worry, my lord. As long as it isn't Emperor Xian who is making a move, the people from Xian's are nothing to worry about. With our clan's experts and the 5 emperors' descendants here, none of this will be a problem. The Gu family general said. The Gu family had a name left through battle. Now that they heard that the Lord of Primordial Chaos had ordered them to attack the outside world. Naturally, he thought it was a good opportunity to build his career and wanted to show off his skills. Yes, the Lord of all fiends nodded. The scene changed. At the center of the endless river of stars, Long Fei's figure stopped outside a black hole. F*CK, my power. The maelstrom filled the skies, swallowing up everything in its path. The maelstrom filled the skies, swallowing up everything in its path. It seemed to be a forbidden area for living beings. All living things must not approach. If one looked up, they would have the power to destroy the heavens. This kind of power was hard to describe. There was no physical distinction, no magic difference. Just the aura itself was filled with boundless strangeness. It gave people a feeling of just one word: death. Long Fei's footsteps stopped, and he basically did not dare to approach it. Even from his physical body, he instinctively felt the intent of dodging. It automatically transformed, blocking the invading aura. Ding, system prompt. High energy ahead. Please evacuate as soon as possible. Ding, system prompt. High energy ahead. Please evacuate as soon as possible. It was also at this moment that the system suddenly warned him. Long Fei didn't pay any attention to him, but his mood became even heavier. This power had been detected by the system. That won't do. With the power of my current body, it's impossible for me to even enter it, let alone obtain its power. Long Fei thought in his heart, his eyes filled with extreme unwillingness. Infinite tyrannical power was right in front of him. However, he couldn't get it all. It was like saying, I brought you a hot pot, but I didn't bring you chopsticks. Even if he wanted to eat it, he wouldn't be able to do so. This feeling was too painful. However, if Long Fei were to retreat now, Long Fei would be even more unreconciled. Moreover, now that the war for the God of Boundary was coming, he had already expected it. When the power of the world arrived and the Sun God world met with a crisis, it would be time for him to heavy the ancient world. If he did not increase his own strength, when that time came, what would happen when he faced the Emperor Xian and the Lord of Primal Chaos? Continue to be suppressed? Continuing to be crushed? No, impossible. This old man swears that when we go back, I won't flinch even if it's Emperor Xian. There's also the Lord of Chaos. There's no way I'll let him force me into a corner. Thus, I must obtain the power within. Long Fei gritted his teeth as he looked at the fearsome center of the black hole with determination. He suddenly rushed in. In an instant, strands of power directly wreaked havoc on Long Fei's body. Shwa shwa shwa. Instantly, blood spouted out like a column from his mouth. In the blink of an eye, the sun god set on Long Fei's body was instantly destroyed. All the defensive powers dissipated without a trace. Furthermore, even Long Fei's body had become riddled with holes, as if thousands of energy had cut through it. Wong. Long Fei's mind rumbled. The pain in his heart was indescribable. This sort of pain was as if it was being torn apart. No, there must be a way. Since this power exists, it must be obtained by others. Otherwise, it wouldn't have appeared back then. Long Fei's eyes were bloodshot as he continued to draw upon the power of his flesh and blood. Once again, he began the process of splitting and recombining the power of his flesh and blood. Ding, physical body experience increased. Current level on the other side of the void, experience 50/15,000. The system's voice appeared again. And at this moment, Long Fei's eyes were brimming with light. Haha, Lousy knew that the system wouldn't be that easy to deal with. How could I take the initiative to leave? The more berserk this power is, the more exciting it will be to my body. If the other side can't withstand it, then I'll endure it. I refuse to believe that limitless won't do. Long Fei laughed out loud, his entire body turning into a vacuum particle, and then regroup. And then he was once again annihilated by the violent power, turning into fine dust. After that, it would be reorganized. Thus, the cycle continued. An unknown amount of time had passed by, and Long Fei had long since become numb in front of this power. In the end, he didn't feel anything. Only the system kept prompting him for changes in his experience would make Long Fei a little excited. Ding! Congratulations, player body leveled up. Current level, other shore limitless. Suddenly, after the body passed through the resplendent berserk energy, Long Fei heard a system sound. Physical body upgrade successful. Instantly, Long Fei's body reassembled, from tiny particles to complete. However, this time, the impact of these energies hitting Long Fei's body was too much of a shock. Although it was still painful for Long Fei, he was a bit hoarse and his mouth twisted into a grin. However, it was already unable to break Long Fei's skin, and Long Fei's figure could finally stop in the space below the black hole. Fuck, I can finally stand and look at this world. Fortunately, Long Batian gave me this great opportunity back then. If it weren't for my fleshly body fusing with the great Tao root, I wouldn't be where I am today. Long Batian, don't worry. Once this old man annihilates the Emperor Xian and kills the Lord of Primal Chaos, I will definitely spare your life. Long Fei felt extremely carefree in his heart, and then he looked at the world before him. This place was indeed a world. However, it was hard to describe. It was impossible to describe it in words. It was as if a civilization had existed in the heart of the world. However, the civilization had been destroyed, leaving behind only a pile of ruins. However, the more Long Fei read, the more shocked he was. Even if it was a piece of ruin that was presented in front of Long Fei, it was still a type of shock. Every part of the broken wall was filled with the kind of violent power that was difficult to break through. Damn, what happened here? How could such an existence be annihilated? Long Fei was extremely shocked in his heart. If one wanted to compete, they could only think of the Emperor Xian and the Lord of Primal Chaos. It's nothing. If this kind of civilization could be annihilated, then to what extent would the power of this attack reach? Whiz! However, it was at this moment that a beam of light suddenly exploded from the center of the world. He flew straight into the sky. As if drawing power, the ruins all crumbled. In the end, it became a dot of starlight that charged straight at Long Fei. Instinctively, Long Fei immediately retreated backwards. Even if his heart was filled with desire for it, Long Fei knew that his current body was simply unable to withstand the impact of such power. But it was too slow. Even the infinite flesh infinity, instant teleportation, was incomparably weak in the face of such power. Just as Long Fei took a step back, the power had already rushed over and directly landed between Long Fei's eyebrows. And Long Fei had also lost consciousness for an instant, somewhere in an unknown place. Crackling sounds continuously emerged from a secret room. Wong. Asterisk Wong. Asterisk Wong. Asterisk. Initiate emergency announcement. Initiate emergency announcement. Initiate emergency announcement. With the revival of creation civilization, the power of the ruins has disappeared. Please do an emergency search. Please do an emergency search. Mechanical sounds rang out one after another. A young man was still tapping on the keyboard in his hands. However, a glint appeared in his eyes. Expectation, crazy, and savage. Is it you? Long Fei, it must be you. In the room, the young man was unable to calm down. In the room, the young man was unable to calm down. At this time, a middle-aged man entered the room. You also designed this? The middle-aged man said. No, I don't know if he got it. But if it is also his own good fortune. We should be excited, shouldn't we? As long as he comes to the Paragon Plane, the young man said, but before he could finish, he was interrupted. Shut up. This time, no matter what, we have to cooperate with him. But whether or not we can find him is not something that we could decide. The middle-aged man said in a stern voice. His eyes were downcast, but his voice became softer and softer. The youth smiled, but remained silent. The world of the sun god. The central court. 8 King Kong, Yuro, Lu Luoxi, Zhang Yu, and Li Wuxin were gathered together. His face was full of emotion. In the air, a gigantic ball of light could be vaguely seen. It was incredibly depressing. It was as if the entire sky was about to fall down. It seems this is the danger of the Yang God world's extermination. How is Long Fei doing? Lu Luoxi said in a low voice. It was filled with worry. She was worried about Long Fei and also worried about the little fellow. Even now, the little guy was still in Meng Xinji's hands. Is it safe? Are you all right? Have you been abused? They were all existences that she was worried about. However, she didn't dare show it. Right now, it was a critical time. She did not want her emotions to affect everyone else. Boss just left, that's great. This power is really powerful. If the boss isn't here, we can fight in peace. As Li Yuanba said this, he released his battle chi and his supreme force on his fist. His fighting spirit was limitless. It was not only him. Even the 8 King Kong, Li Wuxin, and the other great emperor's descendants were the same. Everything that they had was given by Long Fei. After he decided to call Long Fei his boss, everything was already decided. They were going to fight for Long Fei. Even the blood weeping yellow, even the loss of one's life. No regrets. But now, Long Fei wasn't there. They had to protect everything in this place. And at this time, the entire world of the sun god became incomparably chaotic. It was like the end of the world. Birds wailed, beasts roared. Countless cultivators had left their homes in search of protection. Oh my god, this is going to be the destruction of my Yang god realm. Such a terrifying power. He's definitely going to die. He's definitely going to die. Who will be able to turn the tide this time? Countless voices helplessly resounded in the world, filled with a feeling of powerlessness. Now they longed for a superhero to save them. He had come to take away the forces of the heavens and give them peace. However, everything was wishful thinking, no matter how much they screamed in their hearts. How could he ask for help? It was all useless. The heavens did not give them any hope. Outside of the sun god realm, that power still surged forth. Every minute that passed brought him closer to one point. Izu, did you really give up on us? We're the powerhouse of the Yang god realm. Are they all dead? Who's going to save us? I don't want to die. There were wails and screams everywhere. At the same time, nobody cared about it. In the darkness, a figure quietly appeared, and then frantically released streams of power of darkness. The power swept through the crowd and entered the body. Ha ha ha, despair. The end of despair is the eruption of evil. I want to use all the evil in this world to refine an evil era. When that time comes, what about Hong Yi or any of the external forces? They will all be crushed. And Long Fei, you destroyed 2 of my clones. This time, I will make you kneel in front of me. The Black Shadow said. He was none other than Meng Xinji. Meng Xinji's eyes were ferocious, and his face was filled with madness. After going crazy, more evil energy emanated from his body. At the same time, the 2 evil beings exploded with power. He rushed into the crowd. Countless cultivators' willfulness and evil in their despair completely exploded. They began to do whatever they wanted, wanting to do whatever they wanted before they died. In an instant, the entire Yang God realm fell into chaos before the calamity as they descended into endless panic. They were in a state of panic. Corpses were strewn all over the place, and there was no end of desolation. Evil, massacre, since it seemed to be the theme of this era. The world of the sun god fell into endless darkness. And at the end of this darkness, in a place where space-time connected, an old man sat atop a cloud. In his hand was a lantern, dreaming in the clouds, seeking longevity by lighting lamps. The old man said lightly. Beside him was a little girl. He had a well-behaved expression. However, there was still a faint sadness in his eyes. "Bastard, your heart is not at ease again." The old man said, "Grandfather, I don't want to be a dream-building master anymore. I want to go find Big Brother," she said with a look of anticipation. "AI, why don't you understand that everything in the world is a dream? Life is like a dream. Life and death are like a dream. Invincible is like a dream. I will take you through the tombs of all the children. I will take you to see the ups and downs of this world, the transformation of life and death. I even lit a light for you, just to guide you to the land of the living. Why don't you understand?" The old man sighed, somewhat disappointed. "Grandfather, this is not a dream. I'm here. I've been here before. I know your big brother. I know little Unrivaled. I know you. I know a lot of big brothers. They are real. If longevity wants to dream of itself, then reality will be reversed. This kind of longevity is not what I want. I just want to help Big Brother and accompany little Invincible," she said with a serious expression. At this moment, the old man stopped in his tracks. His eyes seemed to be lost in thought. After a long while, his cloudy eyes once again shone with a brilliant light. He said, "That's fine. Perhaps a fork has appeared in my path. This reception is only some sort of longevity, not true longevity. Come, I will bring you to see the suffering of humans. I'll send you to find your big brother." The old man said. As for Yiya, her face instantly lit up with happiness at this moment. At the end of the endless river, a black hole howled. Long Fei's figure was still floating in the air. Everything that had happened in the outside world had nothing to do with him. He did not know and did not understand. At this moment, he was in an extremely delicate state. The aura emitted from his body also became extremely strange. In his consciousness, Long Fei held onto the paperweight and looked at the energy floating above it, his eyes filled with incomparable joy. The strongest. Jubi is the strongest. This kind of strength absolutely surpasses those of the heavens. This kind of civilization, even if it was not a supreme plane, there's definitely not going to be a huge difference. Long Fei's eyes were firm, and he was wild with joy. Long Fei's eyes were firm, and he was wild with joy. This time his bet was right. So what if it was the endless darkness? So what if he was dead? In the end, he still charged through. And now, he even obtained this power and fused it into the paperweight. Ha ha! The heart of the wheel of liberation is already here. The next step is to fuse all these powerful energies together to forge the great wheel of liberation. Long Fei's heart was moved. He stared off into the distance, into the endless ruins. Here, there were treasures everywhere. Even in ruins, it was still a supreme divine ability. It far surpassed all the materials divinity Long Fei had seen. Using such a material, even if it was forging a divine weapon, it would still be a super treasure. In that moment, Long Fei's eyes released an endless radiance. Then, Long Fei's figure moved, directly entering into the endless ruins of civilization. He started searching in a carpet style. The nameless stone is incomparably hard and sharp. Forging a stone weapon can immediately increase Yuan Ba's fighting strength by a level. Myriad Godwood Awesome. Having absorbed the endless power of thunder, the wind and frost had split apart, allowing him to draw in the power of nature. If you were to inscribe a 7-colored parasol, you will be able to make autumn leaf more explosive. Also, this drilling wood contains innate inscription. It should be suitable for you to use. Long Fei immediately began his crazy harvesting. This place had directly become a natural military factory. To Long Fei, it was like a supply depot. Not only that, it was extremely heaven-defying. This was because these powers all came from the other side. If the refinement was successful for Yu Rou, Li Yuanba, and the others, it would be a qualitative breakthrough. In fact, he might even be able to acquire good fortune on the other side of the river without even having to step foot on it. Long Fei also had this idea as he started to frantically search around. A moment later, Long Fei's figure had already swept across the entire ruins, gathering all the energy he could muster. Great. I've finally gathered enough. The 8 King Kong, the 13 emperors, and even the master of the plane have gathered enough weapons. The power of the other side of the same river. Emperor Xian, prepare your dog heads for me to harvest. Long Fei laughed crazily. After that, Long Fei's mind moved. He immersed himself directly in refining. However, at this time, outside the other side in the void, the power of the ancient world finally descended. Hong Yi's figure stood on the other side of the lake, his sacred arts surging as the great wheel of evacuation hovered horizontally in the air. Waves of power shot up into the sky. It formed a huge protective net that enveloped the entire area. To think that it would descend so quickly. I haven't even used much of my power yet. Even Autumn Leaf didn't become a god of boundary. It looks like the ancient world also had a change, which made the other party unable to wait. Just Long Fei, when are you coming back? Hong Yi's face was a little heavy, even for a transcendent realm powerhouse. Facing the power of the ancient world and the alien world, Hong Yi felt it was not easy either. He placed all his hopes on Long Fei. Only if Long Fei returned safely would they be able to sweep away this calamity. Protect the world of the sun god. It was also at this time, above the central sacred court, Lu Luoshi, with Kong Kim and the great emperor's legacy, was already prepared to fight to the death. Even though the sun god world didn't have much to do with them. But since Long Fei was present, they had to protect him. This was their only tie. By this point, the entire world of the sun god was on the verge of collapse. It was a joyous occasion to be disrespectful, and all the rules were being trampled upon. Evil became the sole ruler. The more destructive energy one felt, the more explosive the power of evil would be in the human world. It was as if they were going to unleash their final berserk attacks before they were destroyed. In the air, the powerhouse S of the ancient world S were endlessly berserk. With Sky's sovereign Pajun as the leader, countless Xian nationality were standing on the ship that broke through the domain. This is a super treasure, unparalleled in the world. According to legend, Emperor Xian personally made it himself, using materials from other realms, and combined it with an unparalleled ability to condense. He was able to control the power of the void and pierce through the world's defenses. Sky Sovereign, we're here. The world of the sun god is truly fragile. Look at them. Before we even arrive, they have already begun to fall into a state of endless panic. Just struggle. The more you struggle, the more interesting you will be. All of the Xian nationality disciples looked down at the Yang God realm that was already supporting them as they spoke. In their eyes, the world of the sun god was like a slaughterhouse. They were the butchers. They had come here to kill and destroy. Sky Sovereign Pajun was also filled with killing intent, as he said in a low voice. This time, we must do it well. We absolutely cannot delay the great matter of the Emperor Xian. But right now, the timing isn't right. Great Emperor had once instructed that when a new god of boundary appears in the Yang God realm, the Yang God world would level up and set off for the outer space powerhouse. At that time, we'll be able to destroy the world of the sun god and seize his fortune. After speaking, he turned his gaze to the other side of the sky, his gaze filled with incomparable malice. There was the place where Hong Chiu-Yi was currently promoted to God of Boundary. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Suddenly, at this moment, the entire process suddenly stopped as it stopped in midair. Sky Sovereign, an unknown force appeared in front of us. From the looks of it, It seems like the powerhouse of this world has made their move. Should we rush over? The Xian nationality disciple reported, but his tone did not contain the slightest hint of worry, as if he did not place this power in his eyes at all. It's fine. Even if it's the sun god world's Jiqiang, it's fine. The Emperor, Xian, naturally has arrangements. Because this time, we are not the only ones who acted. Right now, we will stay here and wait for the birth of the god of boundary of the sun god realm. Broken Sky's sovereign said, as if he had nothing to fear. It was at this time that a rumbling sound suddenly appeared from the other side of the Yang god realm. The power of the other shore released endless mystic light, completely merging into Hong Qiuye's body. In that instant, Hong Qiuye's eyes opened, and her strength was incomparably strong. After being baptized by the power of the other shore, she had completely become a powerhouse of the other shore, and this also showed that she had become the god of boundary of the Yang god realm. Hong Yi's figure flashed and appeared beside Hong Qiuye. Autumn Leaf, let's go. Hong Yi's expression was grave, without a hint of obsession. There was even a hint of panic. Hong Qiuye's eyes narrowed, his heart filled with astonishment. However, he still chose to believe Hong Yi's words. However, just as they turned around, an indescribably powerful aura descended from the sky. This power was supreme. He seemed to be the ruler of the universe, to control all the worlds of the stars. A new god of boundary has been born in the Yang god realm. The upgrade is a success. You have the qualifications to participate in the war for the god of boundary. Within 3 days, there will be attacks from different realms. If the sun god realm can withstand it, then the sun god world will thoroughly enter into the 3,000 great worlds. If you can't block it, it will be replaced. A voice appeared out of nowhere, but it was only a voice, not a figure. It seemed to come from a place far away from endless time and space. It's over. Hong Yi's eyes darkened as he looked into the sky, then towards the sun god realm, a tragic expression appearing on his face. It was also at this time that Hierarch Pa, who was in control of the Ark of the Broken Domain, gave the order. Kill! With a command, the ship dived down and instantly attacked the defensive net that Hong Yi had set up. The ancient world had completely descended. The ancient world had completely descended. Hong Yi's power seemed to have no effect, and in the blink of an eye, it shattered. It wasn't that Hong Yi was weak. Rather, it was the means of the Emperor Xian to possess the power of the outer space powerhouse. Both sides, even with Hong Yi's strength, were of no use. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A booming sound broke through the heavens and earth. The great wheel of liberation released an endless amount of murderous power, bombarding the boat of Hierarch Shurtion again and again. However, it was not destroyed at all. It only left a deep mark. Ha! Even most powerful figures of the sun god world are nothing more than mediocre. You can't even break through my domain-breaking boat, and you still want to stop me? The Yang god realm must definitely be replaced by my ancient world. Countless Xian nationality disciples laughed madly. It was incomparably savage. Their smiles were filled with killing intent, as if they wanted to massacre the Yang god realm. Broken Sky Sovereign's figure took a step forward. Looking at the Yang god realm's protection force that had already been broken through, he sneered. Just this little bit of strength? If that's the case, then this world of the sun god is truly fragile. In the blink of an eye, it has perished. Tian Jizun was extremely arrogant, a natural sense of superiority appearing in his body. However, he did not receive any response at all, because right now, Hong Yi and Hong Qiuye were on the other side. No matter how awesome Senior Heavenbreaker was, he could not detect Hong Yi's existence at all. Damn it! A mere ant dares to disregard my existence like that. Hong Yi gritted his teeth, but he endured it in the end. However, Hong Qiuye, who was on the side, couldn't hold it in any longer. He turned around and was about to cross the other side to return to the Yang god realm. No, if you head back now, you won't be able to stop Ancient World at all. Ancient World is not scary. The scariest thing is that there are powerhouse from the outside realms behind this. The power that they are controlling is absolutely not something that you and I can compare with. Hong Yi said, stopping Hong Qiuya. However, Hong Yi did not stop at all. Izu, Long Fei's brothers and women are still in the Yang God realm. I can't just ignore them. Otherwise, if any of them were to meet with an accident, I would not even have the face to face Long Fei. Even if I die, I will die before them. Hong Qiuya said in a deep voice. Hong Yi stared in shock, his eyes filled with ferocity. Then, he steeled his heart and said, "You're right. It's because I've been worrying too much. The Yang God realm is my place of transcendence, and I cannot abandon it. Since they want to seize my Sun God realm, then let's do it once and see who kills who." The coldness in Hong Yi's eyes also erupted. No matter what, he was still a transcendent powerhouse. He didn't dare to accept the challenge, even when someone came knocking on his door. Non-existent. As he thought of this, Hong Yi opened the path on the other side. Crossing the other side. "You stay here and guard this place. I promised Long Fei that I would protect his woman well. Since I've agreed, I will definitely do it. Leave this battle to me." As Hong Yi spoke coldly, he stepped on the ship of good fortune and traversed the void, arriving above the Yang God realm. At that moment, Broken Sky's sovereign stopped in his tracks. With a wave of his hand, the real boat came to a halt. Broken Sky's sovereign's eyes narrowed as well, no longer relaxed. The moment Hong Yi appeared, he was speechless. "Yell, you little bastard, I gave you face, didn't I? You want to go to Senior Mie's Yang God realm? I want to see how many people you have to die." Hong Yi's voice was filled with killing intent. All this time, he placed his hope on Long Fei and did not want to face the powerhouse directly. If he didn't make a move, the alien powerhouse would have to make a move. When that time came, it would be even more difficult to escape from the Yang God realm. But now, Long Fei had not returned, and Long Fei's woman and brothers were still in the Yang God realm. He had no choice but to act, even if it was a fight to the death with an alien powerhouse. They also definitely had to protect Long Fei's brothers and women. Alone? It seemed that the Sun God world really didn't have any masters. Only one person dares to stand in our way. No matter how strong you are, can you be stronger than the alien powerhouse? A method that is stronger than the Emperor Xian? Kill. At the command of Hierarch Petion, a certain coldness raged. But he himself did not make a move. He directly controlled the ship to break through without any hesitation. He knew that Hong Yi was very strong. Thus, very smart people choose to hide within the boat and use the power of the boat to attack. After all, the domain-breaking arc contained the will of the Emperor Xian, and it also contained the power of the alien powerhouse. He did not believe that Hong Yi would be able to withstand the dual power. Boom! At this moment, there was a loud bang. In an instant, a terrifying aura burst forth from the ship. Wave after wave of destructive power wreaked havoc. It turned into a series of physical damage figures and fell onto the floor with a loud bang. As for Hong Yi, he was now using his full power. On the ship of good fortune, with the undying tablet in his hand, he rushed out in an instant. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The entire space exploded at this moment. It was incomparably violent and terrifying. However, at this time, another force swiftly swept over from the sky. It took advantage of the time between Hong Yi and Senior Broken Sky, and directly bombarded into the world of the Sun God. Ha ha, you never thought of that, right? No matter how awesome Emperor Xian is, don't you still want to drink our foot-washing water? Ha ha, go ahead and kill him. As long as the world of the Sun God is destroyed, the Lord of Primordial Chaos will definitely lead us to and fro through the universe. The inheritance of the ancient family of the divine space and the 5 emperors had arrived, and then he began to wildly kill. Hong Yi's eyes flashed with a cold light, extremely unwilling. But now, facing the Emperor Xian's purgatory boat and the power of the alien powerhouse, he couldn't even do anything to his avatar. No matter how anxious he was, there was nothing he could do. But right at this moment, 8 profound lights suddenly appeared above the sacred hall in the center of the Yang God realm. It was a dazzling display of brilliance in the middle of the sky. In an instant, the holes that had been pierced through in the Yang God realm were all filled. The power of the sky spill. The power of extermination. Decaying power. Power of the stars. The 5 types of power instantly erupted forth, each of them containing an absolute will to slaughter the heavens. These 8 profound lights were precisely the methods used by the 8 King Kong. Hong Yi looked down with a slightly relaxed expression. He was powerless to interfere in the battle below. He could only try his best to stop the person in front of him. Only in this way would there be a strand of hope to protect the Yang God realm. With a thought, Hong Yi attacked again. All saints on the other shore descend. Hong Yi bellowed and attacked again. In the blink of an eye, a palace appeared in the air, followed by numerous silhouettes. The plate, 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 the plate. They waited for the ancient sacred emperors and the inheritors of the various transcendent powers to emerge from the various halls. The first battle began. Boom, 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 boom. In an instant, the domain-breaking arc was struck by the berserk power, and all of the Xian nationality disciples died. The endless skies of the sun god was swept up by the flames of war. The endless skies of the sun god was swept up by the flames of war. Hong Yi was a monarch, sweeping across ancient world. Once all the temples appeared, no one could be a match for them. However, at that very moment, a spirit flag appeared in Sky Sovereign Pejun's hand. On the flag, inscription symbols jumped and flashed, emitting an extremely sharp aura. The number 1 powerhouse of a Yang God realm is indeed extraordinary. But do you think that you can reverse the outcome just because of this? Impossible. Emperor Xian has already known everything since a long time ago. Receive the spirit flag out. Sky Sovereign Pejun suddenly moved, both hands exerting force. His boundless immortal energy burst forth. Soon after, the flag began to break apart. Shwa shwa shwa. Then, a bright light flashed. In the air, 2 silhouettes directly descended. One was green, while the other was yellow. The auras of the 2 of them were incomparably strong. His true form alone was enough to cause this entire world to collapse. It was as if he couldn't bear the other party's strength. Senior Envoy, it is this child that is hindering our grand plan. The instant this person appeared, Sky Sovereign Pejun's eyes suddenly shone with a look of obsequiousness and flattery. This child's power is extraordinary. He's the Yang God realm's number 1 expert. Only by annihilating him can we continue our plan. Destroy the Yang God realm and start a war for hegemony for 10,000 realms. Sky Sovereign Pejun was incomparably arrogant, as if everything was under his control. However, he overestimated himself. Or perhaps it could be said that he had overestimated the Emperor Xian. Xing Yi and Huang Yi didn't care about Sky Sovereign Yan. Instead, he looked at Hong Yi curiously. A single beam of universal power with a cultivation level comparable to a higher realm's god of boundary. Not bad. I didn't expect to see such an expert in such a place. It made people sing and criticize Hong Yi. Hong Yi's face changed from red to green as well, looking extremely heavy. His gaze was fixed on the 2 of them. Outsiders. Hong Yi said in a deep voice. That's right, I didn't expect that you, from an edge world, would be able to touch upon the power of the universe. You are even about to ascend to a higher realm. Unfortunately, you all will not have the chance. The envoy said, cold and emotionless. In their eyes, the level of the world determined everything, even if the Yang God world was about to level up. However, in their eyes, it was still useless. The fighting spirit in Hong Yi's eyes grew even stronger. The various saints stood in the air with heavy expressions. It was as if he was carrying the glory of a world and a supreme mission. Hong Yi took a step forward and walked in front of everyone. There were many powerhouse S on the ship of destiny, with immortal monuments in their hands and the various temples above their heads, which were closer to the ancient sun god realm. A human wall. Then Hong Yi slightly bent his body, as if bowing. Everyone, the Yang god realm is at death's door. Let's fight, Hong Yi said. Behind him, the sacred grounds and other ancient strong S remained silent. They were not really physical in nature. Back then, they were suppressed by Hong Yi and became existences within the various temples. However, they still had their own consciousnesses. Being silent didn't mean that they were afraid, because at the moment Hong Yi's voice fell, several people attacked. All sorts of energy gathered in the void. It blasted towards the two people in the sky at the same time. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Huge areas of the void space were smashed down, and a punch that could shatter stars appeared. However, at this time, Qing Yi and Huang Yi stood motionlessly in midair, until the moment when many forces exploded and were about to bombard them. Qing Yi pointed out her finger. Although it was only a light tap of his finger, it contained an absolute power, crushing everything. Even if a person was at the peak of the sun god realm, even if they were on the other side, they would still be unable to withstand a single blow from such power. Puff, puff, puff. Zhang Xian nodded. One figure after another fell to the ground. Trash, too weak. In this world, aside from you, who is a bit interesting, the rest are trash who have never entered the universe. He can't even withstand a single blow. The spearhead was locked on Hong Yi. Come on, kill you, and this world will have no chance of evolving. Only then will our big plan be able to continue. The power of her fingertips pierced through the heavens and earth. Rumble, rumble, rumble. An enormous rumbling sound swept across the world. Hong Yi's face also changed drastically. In this instant, it ignited all the other temples. Boom! Asterisk rumble. Rumble. The sound of an enormous explosion shook the world for thousands of miles. The Xian nationality disciples were directly struck by the explosion and instantly lost a lot of lives. Even Pejun did not manage to escape as he was blasted into the air by the violent force. If he didn't have the power to break through, he would have been injured. However, this power had no effect on Qing Yi. The other side didn't receive any damage at all. Seeing this, Hong Yi's face was terrifyingly cold. The various temples were already one of his most powerful methods. Not only were the saints annihilated, even the other temples self-destructed, but they still didn't inflict the slightest bit of damage to their opponent. Then that person, just how strong would he be? Hong Yi's heart was heavy, but at this point, he had no other choice but to fight to the death. As he thought about it, the immortal monument in Long Fei's hands released a mystical light. Then, it left Hong Yi's hand and smashed into the void. Boom! The entire undying tablet exploded with boundless energy, rushing straight at the two in green and yellow clothes. It's just an insignificant skill. If the Yang God world really succeeds in leveling up, your power will be baptized by the entire universe. You might be able to advance even further. At that time, even we will have to retreat. But now, this sort of power is simply trash. Destroy. The green-robed, middle-aged man sneered and continued pointing. However, this finger contained a supreme aura. It was as if under the power of this aura, all attacks would be wasted. It was instantly annihilated. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The undying monument, in that instant, exploded. It immediately transformed into dust, dissipating into the air. Hong Yi was stunned and bitter. Another celestial holy artifact has been destroyed. It didn't even have the chance to damage the other party's skin before it was completely destroyed. Damn it! Is the power of a foreign land really that powerful? Hong Yi felt indignant in his heart. As he turned his head, he looked at the world of the sun god. It was a scene of devastation. There was war everywhere. If not for the power of the 8 King Kong being able to mend the loopholes in the Yang God realm, he probably would have already fallen into hell on earth. Crack! 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 Hong Yi clenched his fists. The killing intent in his eyes was like frost. However, it was still unable to stop anything. In front of the outer space powerhouse, his strength did not cause any ripples at all. It was also at this moment that Ching made her move. It looks like you're not much either. If that's the case, then the sun god world really shouldn't exist any longer. Destroy the world of the sun god. Chingy calmly made her move, and the power of her finger attack was just as strong as before. However, in the face of such power, the entire world of the sun god was powerless to resist. Even Hong, he was prepared to gamble everything he had to bring out his wheel of liberation. The world of the sun god was in imminent danger. The center of the black hole, the middle world of the ruins. The center of the black hole, the middle world of the ruins. Long Fei's figure floated in midair as a green light flickered before her eyes. Light came and went. Every time it flickered, an extremely powerful aura would appear. Ding, successfully refined. Please name the player. The last ray of light flashed by, while Long Fei laid weakly on the ground. Fuck, it's really not easy. This black hole's power is like a super airdrop. It directly made me lose a ton of weight. But that power is too hard to control. It was actually created tens of millions of times before succeeding. Long Fei secretly thought. Time was something that Long Fei had no idea about. During this period of time, his entire mind was completely immersed in artifact forging. Until now, when the 8 King Kong and the 13 Great Emperors had all refined a set of super treasure. I've finally completed it. I wonder what kind of power my Wheel of Liberation can unleash now. Long Fei thought in her heart as she looked above the black hole. Suddenly, a throbbing sensation appeared on Long Fei's heart. It was as if an inexplicable summons had come over. Damn, could it be that the ancient world has already descended? Long Fei's heart tensed up. Inside this black hole, Long Fei no longer had the concept of time. Now that he calculated it, Long Fei's heart tensed up. I must hurry back as soon as possible. Otherwise, I don't know if the Yang God realm can still be preserved. Long Fei thought. Her eyes moved, and she leaped up. With a single leap, he rushed into the endless darkness. His body was like a fish swimming in the water as he traversed the void, shuttling through the endless black hole. However, at this time, the aura and power inside the black hole no longer affected Long Fei at all. Furthermore, in the entire space, a series of changes were triggered by Long Fei's actions, as if she was respectfully sending him off. Very quickly, Long Fei's figure returned to the source of the black hole. Long Fei turned back in silence, looking at the endless ruins, her heart at a loss. For some reason, Long Fei had a feeling in her heart. There must be some other connection between him and the ruins. However, it hadn't been developed yet. Forget it. I won't think about it anymore. I've already obtained the strongest power within this black hole. This time, I will make the Emperor Xian kneel down and sing Conquer. Ancient world, this time it's not your attacks, but my counterattack. Long Fei's eyes were firm as he broke through the infinite black hole in the blink of an eye. And now, the world of the sun god had completely become a bloody, killing ground. Long before the outsiders invaded, the sun god world was in complete chaos. At this time, the ancient families and forces had invaded, causing the sun god world to fall into complete chaos. Other than Lu Luoshi and the others who had the power to fight, the rest of the people who had their sights set on them were like useless bastards, lambs waiting to be slaughtered. They did not have the strength to resist and were directly killed. In the air, Hong, he was still fighting for his life. There were many other methods to prevent this from happening. The ship of good fortune had already used up all of its power of good fortune, and yet it had only managed to hold them back for a moment. Only the great wheel of evacuation of today, the most powerful weapon of the divine king of the Yang God realm. Only then would he be able to barely block the two of them. TSK, not bad. I never would have thought that this sort of world is able to produce such a technique. Fortunately, the world of the sun god hasn't been successfully upgraded yet. Otherwise, even we don't have the strength to fight back. As the middle-aged man spoke, his face was filled with shock. However, Most of them were greedy. He looked at the wheel of relief in Hong Yi's hands, full of desire. At this moment, the yellow-clothed, middle-aged man also stepped forward. If I'm late, then everything will change. The power of the sun god world is a bit strange. It seems to be extremely close to the forbidden zone in the universe. I suspect that his power was stolen from within. Hurry up and attack. Exterminate him in case of any mistakes. The yellow-clothed man said, his eyes cold. Okay. In any case, as long as he dies, the Yang God realm will be completely destroyed. We can return and report back. As the middle-aged man spoke, a strong killing intent burst forth from his eyes. Heaven exterminating finger. Swish. He pointed his finger at the void. The power of endless annihilation erupted from the point of his finger, surging like a tidal wave. It charged towards Hong Yi like a madman. The yellow-clothed man didn't stay idle either. A sharp light flashed in his eyes, and a light flashed in his palm. A huge ball of light began to condense in his palm. It was like an ancient moonlight from the vast expanse. However, just like the man, he was filled with killing intent. Swish, swish. Instantly, the two types of energies merged together and descended with a loud bang. At this time, Hong Yi's battle had already reached its peak. His entire body was covered with wounds, and he no longer looked like a person who had transcended powerhouse. Ha, come. If you want to destroy my Yang God realm, that will depend on whether you have the ability to do so. If you push me too far, I will even self-destruct the great evacuation wheel. Let's see if you guys have the ability to bear it. Your father will send you to your deaths in this battle. Hong Yi's eyes were filled with madness. With a wry smile on his face, he channeled all of his power into the great wheel of liberation without caring about his life. Not good. He wants to self-destruct. Stop him. Otherwise, even if it's you or me, we would be injured. Qing Yi and Huang Yi's expressions changed drastically. They did not have the time to unleash the power in their hands as they turned around and used different methods to suppress Long Fei, wanting to stop him. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A figure was jumping through the air. With just a few flashes, he had already arrived beside Hong Yi, grabbing him and leading him away. Qing Yi and Huang Yi were stunned. They turned around and looked at Hong Yi, unable to contain their anger. Bastard, you still want to save him? Qing Yi let out a cold snort, then pointed with her finger. However, this time his power did not even reach Hong Yi before it was dispersed by a surge of power. Save her? Save my ass, you're a retailer. I, your father, am here to kill. A voice filled with boundless killing intent rang out. It was Long Fei. Looking at everything that was happening before his eyes and the current miserable state of the Yang God realm, Long Fei's heart burned with fury. This was especially true for Hong Yi. Even though he was not in any life-threatening danger, he had lost his combat power in order to self-destruct the great wheel of emancipation. Kid, you've finally come. Hong Yi said weakly. However, his eyes were filled with gratitude. He had waited until this moment. As long as Long Fei came, there would still be hope for the Yang God realm. Don't worry. Since you've fulfilled your promise, you'll protect my woman brother. Then I will definitely do what I promised you. Whether it's the ancient world or the two old dogs in front of me, they're all gone. Long Fei said coldly, as a Buddha seal appeared in her hand. Long Fei, you must be careful. They are alien powerhouse-s, and their powers cannot be compared to that of ancient worlds. With the support of the world's origin energy, they are naturally suppressing us. Hong Yi reminded, but Long Fei didn't take it to heart at all. From a moment he saw Hong Yi's miserable state, he had already made up his mind. This battle, he was determined to fight to the end. If not for Hong Yi, Long Fei might still be running around to save little Invincible. If not for Hong Yi, Long Fei might still be running around to save little Invincible. If not for Hong Yi, he wouldn't have so easily completed the Yang God World's mission. If it wasn't for Hong Yi, he wouldn't have been able to enter the black hole and obtain that power. Moreover, If it wasn't for Hong Yi, his woman and brother would have already been in trouble. This is good. Towards Hong Yi, although Long Fei was disdainful on the surface, he had long treated him as one of his own. He was even slightly grateful. But now, because of him, Hong Yi was almost destroyed. How could Long Fei possibly endure this? Ha ha ha, kill? Who do you want to kill? He's just a piece of trash. You actually dare to boast so shamelessly in front of us. You truly do not know your place. The azure-robed man laughed heartily. As for what Long Fei had said, he treated it as a complete joke. The heck you laugh at? Do you think that you're so powerful just because you're from outside this region? How was Long Batian able to slip away like a dog all those years ago? You're acting cool in front of me? Let me tell you, if Long Batian can do it, I can do it too. Also, if Long Batian can't do it, this daddy will do it too. For example, killing all of you. Long Fei enunciated every word coldly. Rumble, rumble, rumble. It was also at this time that Sky's sovereign Pajun, who was hiding within the profound sky arc, appeared again and looked at Long Fei with a face full of pleasant surprise. Ah, Long Fei, I never thought that I would meet you here. This is great, killing two birds with one stone. Since you are able to destroy the Yang God realm, then I can also kill you. At that time, who in this world can stop my Xian nationality? Sky's sovereign Pajun laughed maniacally. In fact, his entire body had jumped out of the ship. Long Fei's eyes moved and turned. Broken army? Long Fei was startled. He then looked towards the people on the ship. His eyes immediately turned red. When enemies meet, their eyes will turn red. Someone from the Xian nationality? Very good. I never thought that the one who would attack the Yang God world this time would be you, Xian nationality dogs. That's even better. Today is your father's first battle before he returned. Before I killed the Emperor Xian, I used you as a sacrifice. Long Fei said coldly, his gaze extremely cold. Of course, Long Fei would never let these people go. This was an undisguised experience. Even if he couldn't level up in the Sun God world, Long Fei was definitely jealous. The mortal life Great Palm consumed too much experience. It was a skill that burned through money. He had already used it once before to cross the other side, but now that he had exhausted all his experience, he only had 20 billion or so left. That was not enough for him to use again. And now, the people from the Xian nationality had arrived. The distance to the end, where they could directly face the Emperor Xian, was getting closer and closer. Long Fei naturally had to prepare all of his trump cards. Thinking up to here, the Buddha seal in Long Fei's hands instantly exploded outwards. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The pagoda seal vibrated in the air and directly pierced through the heavens and earth. It descended onto the arc of the breaking domain and then fell heavily onto the ground. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Boom, boom. The heaven and earth rumbled. One Xian nationality after another was forced out of the boat by the power of the Buddha seal, and were instantly crushed. Died in the wild. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Xian nationality disciples. You have obtained 500,000 experience, 500,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value. Ding! The system kept prompting him. In Long Fei's heart, however, was instantly overjoyed. Originally, he was a little worried because these people were the power of the Xian nationality. They would give him a lot less experience. But who would have thought that it wouldn't have any effect at all? Haha, great. It seems that before I return to the ancient world, I have to kill enough at once. Long Fei sneered. He attacked again. Pagoda seal, 5 elements, sword demon, and demon ox boxing style, all sorts of methods, one after another. In an instant, the entire space was filled with Long Fei's power. Even Qing, Yi, and Huang Yi were shocked by the power that Long Fei had displayed. This kind of power was already stronger than Hong Yi. How is this possible? His fleshly body, he had actually reached the universal standard. Not only that, there seems to be an even more powerful force contained within it. This won't do, this child must die. Otherwise, it will most likely affect our plans. The yellow-clothed man's voice became gloomy and his expression became sinister. His eyes narrowed, and killing intent surged within them. Right, we absolutely can't let him attack again. Ching Yi stopped her nonchalant attitude. In an instant, his expression changed from one of disdain to one of monstrous killing intent. And it was also at this time that the entire domain-breaking arc had already been bombarded by Long Fei in succession. One Xian nationality disciple after another were beaten out. But there was only one result, and that was death. In the blink of an eye, in less than 3 breaths, the entire arc had been completely destroyed by Long Fei. As for Sky Sovereign Pajun, he too was exposed in the void at this time. "Go, envoy, save me." Sky Sovereign Pajun began begging for help. He never would have thought that. However, it was only a short period of time before Long Fei's strength had already reached this level, causing him, who was at the peak of the ultimate great complete realm, to not even be able to match up to someone who was half a step away from being respected. No, not unattainable. He had already reached the height of looking up. "Master, this kid has long patience power. As long as we kill him, we can obtain it. The last time I saw him, he was just a piece of trash. I could have killed him with a flip of my hand. But now he's already this strong. All of this is definitely because of Long Batian." Broken Army Empyrean said. In order to live, she even told him about Long Fei possessing Long Patience power. Sure enough, after he spoke, Qing Yi and Huang Yi looked at each other in the air. Amidst their shock, their killing intent reached its highest point. "Long Batian?" As expected, no wonder I had such a feeling of apprehension. If that's the case, then you deserve to die even more. Even if the Heavenly Emperor himself were to come, he wouldn't be able to save you. As the two of them spoke, they attacked at the same time. Crash! Asterisk in an instant, the entire space was pulled and a powerful force fell from the sky, cleansing the heavens. "Brat, go to hell!" Boom! Instantly, the strength of the two of them descended. But Long Fei at this moment had turned a blind eye. He didn't see it at all. This kind of power was strong. Was he able to overtake the devouring torture of the black hole ruins? Even that kind of power, Long Fei could withstand it with limitless body. This kind of power was nothing. At this moment, Long Fei only had one goal in mind. That was Sky's sovereign broken army. So, Long Fei's figure began to flicker, and with a single stride, he crossed several tens of thousands of meters. In an instant, he had arrived in front of Sky Sovereign Pajun. Then a punch was fired out. Boom! Asterisk boom! 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 Puffed. His fist was invincible, directly piercing through Sky Sovereign Pajun's chest. If the previous punch had been invincible, then that meant that he had reached the Sun God realm. Then, S' physical body would continue to grow stronger. This punch was already invincible. Even if it was against Ancient World, a powerhouse like the Sky-Breaking Army would still be killed with a single punch. At the same time, the system beeped out a prompt. Ding! Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for slaying the Army Destroyer Sky Sovereign. The reward is 3 million experience points, 300,000 Holy Source points, and 1 point of Berserk. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for slaying the Army Destroyer Sky Sovereign. The reward is 3 million experience points, 300,000 Holy Source points, and 1 point of Berserk. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the army. Ding! Congratulations to player on obtaining Xian nationality's Heavenly Sovereign Badge. Ding! Detected devourable strength. Army breaking force has been devoured. Ding! Swallowed material detected. The Heavenly Sovereign token has been devoured. The system kept prompting him. Long Fei's eyes were also filled with confusion. The destructive army's power and the Xian nationality's Heavenly Sovereign Badge were completely incompatible with his current strength. There were no essences that could be consumed. However, at that moment, 2 rays of light appeared on the wheel of liberation he was forging. In an instant, the aura became even stronger. The wheel of liberation can still be swallowed. Is this power awesome? Could it be that I can evolve again later on? Doesn't this mean that I now possess a super divine treasure that has unlimited possibilities? Long Fei's heart stirred. Sensing the surging power from the wheel of liberation and the aura which could annihilate the world, he smiled coldly. A broken army Empyrean was only an appetizer. His real target was the two people in front of him. It was also at this moment that the attacks of Qing and Huang once again appeared out of nowhere. This time, both of them did their best. One palm a world. He's the one in charge of the world. The two types of power clashed. Boom! The heavens and the earth intersected, and the void moved about unhindered. It was as if the entire void world had been beaten back to its original state. Even if you obtain Long Baishan's power, what can you do? The height also depends on the person. Your current cultivation is nothing but trash in our eyes. Destroy. Qing, Yi said coldly while her palm also landed on the ground. In an instant, the palm fell from the sky. It was incomparably huge. The entire area within millions of li of the square garden was covered, and this palm contained an aura of annihilation. Just as he had said, one palm to the heavens. Within that palm was heaven and earth. Long Fei turned and looked at the power that was dropping from the sky, his eyes heavy. But soon after, a roulette directly appeared in Long Fei's hand. Instantly, the color of the sky changed. In the distance, Hong Yi's eyes suddenly shone with astonishment as he looked at the power in Long Fei's hand. Wheel of Liberation. He also possessed a Wheel of Liberation, so the moment the wheel in Long Fei's hand appeared, he could see it clearly. However, the power that Long Fei's Wheel of Liberation possessed was incomparably berserk, and was not something that his Wheel of Liberation could compare to. Ah, good job. I knew that you were the one who had ordered me to resolve the crisis in my sun god world. It wasn't in vain that I gave my descendants to you as wives. Ha, well done. Hong, he was extremely excited. However, Long Fei ignored him. The instant the roulette appeared in his hand, in Long Fei's heart, he had already blacklisted the two outer space powerhouses, Qingyi and Huangyi. Death blacklist. Swish. The Wheel of Liberation suddenly separated from Long Fei and shot into the sky. Moreover, it began to spin the moment it reached the sky, releasing waves of power that could shake the world. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The roulette continued to grow larger, covering the entire area. It was like a wheel that controlled the fate of all living things. Every time it spun, it would unleash an extremely powerful suppressing force. In the blink of an eye, the suppressive force was unleashed. What a palm of heaven and earth, what a master of the world, in this instant was completely crushed. The wheel began to move, and the world seemed to fill up. Walala! Rays of oppressive power descended from the sky. In an instant, both of their powers were annihilated. What kind of power is this? Impossible. This is a taboo power in the universe. How could he possibly possess it? We must kill him. Otherwise, our world will never have peace. Both of them looked flustered. They were used to being arrogant, relying on the fact that his world was a higher realm. He didn't even care about the myriad worlds. But now, facing Long Fei's power, they had no resistance at all. This sort of power was something that he had absolute control over. But now, when Long Fei's big wheel appeared, the entire space was being crushed. Under this force, their physical bodies and souls began to compress rapidly. Break for me! The two had used everything they had, but at this moment, they weren't hiding anything. He was no longer acting cool like he was before. He was completely trapped in a desperate situation. On the other hand, Long Fei had a face full of disdain. There was madness in his eyes. Huh, is this the power of the ruins realm? As expected of the strongest power. Awesome class. It's a supreme divine treasure that can crush the heavens. Long Fei was ecstatic. A single divine treasure was enough to dominate the heavens. Just you, who else? As he thought about it, Long Fei's hands moved, and the large wheel instantly shone with a profound light. He became even more berserk. In the blink of an eye, the large wheel began to wildly spin, smashing down towards the two of them. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The entire space collapsed, unable to withstand this kind of power. Even the edges of the Yang God realm began to crumble. If not for Long Fei's deliberate suppression, most likely the Yang God realm would have already collapsed under the power of this huge roulette. As for the two men, they screamed even louder. Especially Qing Yi, her body was starting to collapse. "Let's go." The yellow-clothed man made a prompt decision. He turned around, bringing the severely injured Qing Yi with him as he tried to escape. "Want to leave? Too late. You were so awesome just now. You look like you're the boss, and you're the second one. Why isn't he awesome now? Emperor Xian's backer? Not much." Long Fei said, his killing intent in his heart did not decrease. As long as he was related to the Emperor Xian. Just one word, just do it. Regardless of whether you are an alien powerhouse or what. As long as you can take it head on, you will not be lenient. Long Fei, right? You can have a better choice. This world of the Sun God is not worthy of your protection, and to offend us is even more unwise. The power of our world is absolutely beyond your imagination. Even the strongest person in the ancient world, the Emperor Xian, would only be at the peak of our world, not someone who has absolute authority. Qing Yi could only endure the crushing force as she shouted with all her might, the hatred in her eyes overflowing to the heavens. They were still making their final struggles. She wanted Long Fei to let them go. However, it was impossible. So what? I can kill you today, but tomorrow I can kill your world, the alien world? Awesome. Long Fei scoffed. Even when he was weak, he had never been afraid. Now, he had this emancipation wheel. Everything was being crushed. You still need to be wary? Non-existent. Long Fei's personality was arrogant. As long as he was an enemy, there was no possibility of compromise. Brat, you're too arrogant. You think you're invincible? If you want you to live well, then obediently let us go. Otherwise, what you will face is endless pursuit. Qing Yi bellowed. And at this time, Long Fei was also stunned. You still dare to threaten me? Do you even know Liang Jingru? Or did they give you courage or faith? Die for me. Long Fei glared at him. Long Fei glared at him. The giant roulette smashed down. Under this kind of power, Qing Yi's body instantly exploded into thousands of pieces. Even the soul was not immune to this power. Within the span of a breath, it was annihilated from the heavens and earth, disappearing without a trace. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing a Supreme Realm Envoy. You have received 8 million experience points, 800,000 Holy Source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining World Envoy. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining Sacred Art, Palms of Heaven and Earth. Do you wish to learn it? Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining skill, 1 Finger Destroyer. Would you like to learn it? He had mastered it to perfection. What had been revealed were all divine abilities. Long Fei's eyes were also filled with shock. He knew very well that as his strength increased, the great roulette would crush the heavens and the earth. The two in front of him couldn't even be considered bosses. However, he had not expected that so many items would be dropped. Cultivate. Long Fei did not hesitate. In Long Fei's eyes, the ability of the green-robed middle-aged man was definitely stronger than his. In an instant, the system flashed, and the 2 sacred arts transformed into a skill. Long Fei did not look over. This kind of power was at most a little stronger than the Buddha's seal. It was enough for him to use right now. Following that, Long Fei locked his gaze on a Huang Yi. Instantly, the yellow-clothed middle-aged man knelt on the ground. Don't kill me. I beg for mercy. As long as you let me go, I can guarantee that you can help the Yang God realm advance successfully. We can even recommend you to participate in the war for the God of Boundary. I can even vouch for you and recommend you the power of my revered realm so that they can support you and kill the Emperor Xian. The yellow-clothed middle-aged man crazily said, "Throw out all the valuable information." He only had one goal, and that was to beg for Long Fei's forgiveness. However, Long Fei was completely unmoved. If I want it, I will get it myself. Emperor Xian's life is like this. The competition for the God of Boundary is also the same. Of course, your life is also the same. Long Fei said coldly. Focusing his gaze and showing no mercy, the wheel fell once more. Whoosh! The roulette whistled through the air and came crashing down in a flash. The violent energy directly landed on the yellow-clothed, middle-aged man's body, annihilating him in an instant. It was even simpler and more brutal than Qing Yi. They were crushed to death. At the same time, the system beeped once again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing a Supreme Realm Inheritor. You have received 80 million experience, 800,000 Holy Source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the ability to act tactfully. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining crowd control power. Ding! Control power. The system's voice sounded out. Long Fei indifferently looked over. Without any surprises, he directly chose to cultivate. And the power of control was also devoured by the Great Wheel of Liberation. However, Long Fei didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache. The Great Wheel of Liberation was now an invincible treasure. He would crush the enemy and settle the matter in minutes. The more of these weapons one devoured, the stronger one's strength would be. Long Fei, of course, was not dissatisfied. Cultivate. Long Fei's heart stirred, and he immediately chose to cultivate. However, after training, Long Fei's heart was still full. Glancing at the striking value, he steeled his heart and said, Berserk mode activated. Following which, the system rang out once again. Ding. Player activated Berserk. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining Azure Heaven Robe. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining Yellow Heaven Robe. In an instant, there were 2 things in the system's space. They were shining with a green and yellow light. But Long Fei could feel an incomparably vast power from it. Azure Sky. Huang Tian. Could it be that this supreme realm is so powerful? Would it be heaven next time? Heavens? There's still 9 days. Long Fei's heart was moved. These 2 clothes were incomparably powerful. It was also because of the power of his Wheel of Liberation that ordinary attacks were unable to break it. Ha! It would be best if all of them were to explode. This way, I can give them to my woman. Long Fei was overjoyed. With a thought, he put away the Wheel of Liberation. From his point of view, the danger to the Yang God realm had already been resolved. Even the alien powerhouse was dead. What was left was just a clown that could be casually annihilated. But at this moment, Hong Yi, who was some distance away, suddenly opened his mouth. Long Fei, be careful. Hong Yi's voice was anxious. It was as if there was an even more brutal crisis breaking out. Long Fei's heart sank. He suddenly turned around and instantly released the Great Wheel of Liberation. Heavenly Tribulation Stance. A voice sounded from the sky. Infuriated. As soon as the voice rang out, the entire sky shook. Heavenly tribulation began to descend from the sky one after another. This sort of heavenly tribulation was extraordinary and incomparably terrifying. It was as if he possessed the power to exterminate the world, going berserk to the point of explosion. Crack, 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 rumble, rumble, rumble. One after another, God's suffering force after another descended and bombarded the Wheel of Liberation. As for Long Fei, he continued to use the Holy Source S to activate the roulette. Instantly, the 2 forces collided. Boom! The sky was filled with a resplendent light. The god's suffering force disappeared, but the roulette was also dim. Long Fei raised his head and looked toward the sky. A figure slowly walked out from the void. In an instant, the flames of fury burned in Long Fei's heart. In fact, every drop of blood and every cell was emitting a towering, killing intent. Emperor Xian, I'll F*** King do it. Long Fei bellowed, ignoring everything else. In an instant, the pagoda's seal, the 5 elements sword baleful chi, as well as the recently cultivated ancient halo, pointed towards the heavens and the earth. Instantly, he executed them all at once. Useful or not, he had to do it. This was because he had waited far too long for this day. The one in front of him was none other than Emperor Xian. This was an instinctive reaction. Even if the other party did not speak up, Long Fei was certain in his heart. It was as if they were old enemies. It made Long Fei want to tear his opponent apart in an instant. I never would have thought that you, a mere ant, would actually make it to this step. Long Fei, I have to say, you have truly astonished this emperor. However, you are still trash in front of this emperor. This power, it's just child's play. The Emperor Xian said coldly. Earthly tribulation. With a casual wave of his hand, the power in Emperor Xian's hands surged as he channeled the powers of the heavenly star continent. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Endless amounts of berserk energy was mobilized from outside of the void and immediately drowned Long Fei's attack. Then, Emperor Xian also threw out a punch. It charged straight at Long Fei. Boom! Asterisk boom! With a single punch, Long Fei's figure was directly blasted flying and heavily smashed into the air. Long Fei's face was gloomy. He did not say a word. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. Great hand seal of the mortal life, appear. Long Fei shouted. However, soon after, the system's voice rang out. Ding, insufficient experience, unable to cast. Big roulette, roll over for me. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, which directly landed on the release wheel. But this time, the roulette didn't react at all. Move. What kind of power do you want? My spirit blood, my body, and even my life? No matter what you want, I'll give it to you. Just kill this old dog in front of me. Anything you want. Long Fei roared out hysterically as if he was insane, and even directly cut open his own body, where spirit blood continuously landed on the roulette. Unfortunately, there was still no reaction from the roulette. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.